Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and that means it is time for the Season 4 finale of the Week in Horror podcast, the favorite podcast of the Blue Skeleton. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this live right here on YouTube every single Wednesday. Come out and hang out with us. Maybe win some trivia prizes, see all the stuff our editor doesn't want you to see. Tonight, for our season finale, we are covering select horror films released September 17th through September 23rd. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am JL, and this is my illustrious co-host, Alex.
Wow.
I fucked up.
Seasons. 4 fucking seasons.
4 years. I've never made that mistake before. Sorry. But it is my co-host, the amazing OG Alex, who's been here, since the beginning. So it is just us right now. For the moment.
You didn't know I was showing up, did you?
I actually wasn't sure. I wasn't 100% sure, but I am glad that you are. So I wasn't sure, but I do know that right now the other guys, Johnny is currently in the middle of like a project at the moment. I know he's going to try and get here. Eugene is currently at a deal having to do with Rack Focus and an upcoming production that he's working on. So he's currently involved in that. And he'll try to be by. And I know Aaron is also working on something as well. And so everybody's like right smack. It was almost like, of course, everything got fucking scheduled on Wednesday. So it was like, it was fated to happen. There wasn't anything that we could do about that. But fortunately, the two of us are here, which is awesome.
Barely made it. Came skidding in. It was long day today, so I was like shit. Shoveled some food in my mouth and ran out here. So
yeah, I changed up the trailer a little bit, so I shortened it a little bit so people didn't have to like listen to the same thing over and over again. And this is what we're going to use going into season 5. But yeah, so it was a little bit quicker than normal because it's only like a minute long. So and people seem to take
it was good.
So.
It was good. I was jamming onto it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have a ton of stuff to get to because, of course, tonight is the season 4 finale, the finale of 4 years of Week in Horror.
4 fucking years.
4 years of Week in Horror. Like, that's 52 episodes a year. And this is the completion of 4 years, which started as just a let's we got nothing better to do. Let's hang around and like see if we can do this. Have fun and do a podcast and talk about shit. To like literally the pandemic hit and we were all like, we have nothing better to do. And we never thought it would like really take off the way it did. And all of a sudden it has erupted into this thing, into this this beast that I'm just struggling to maintain control of. But I've got these amazingly talented individuals alongside me who have helped me to make the show what it is. And of course, all of you out there in the live chat as well, all of you amazing people who have help to support us and make this whole thing possible, because it wouldn't be possible without any of you.
No, not at all. We wouldn't be sitting here right now talking about any of this if it wasn't for everybody hanging out with us. So appreciate that a lot. And that's you downplay it so much. We go through 4 seasons now. Just to put perspective on this in my life, this is my little personal touch on it. I was going through bad stuff, divorce, just separation. It was a bad thing. I was finally had gotten my own place. I just settled in. JL's like, hey, let's do this thing. I'm like, you know what? I could use some time to just kind of not focus on life right now. So we started doing it, and we were terrible. I know we say this at every season finale, but the first couple of episodes, they were choppy. They were bad.
We didn't know that.
No idea. I mean, we're running sound recording, and then we're doing it over Discord. So we're just getting each individual's sound recording, and then Angela had to try to mash them together. And it was choppy. It was rough, but it was a good time. And we kept coming back. So, yeah, it was cool.
It was definitely like a high learning curve. Like it was just because we just had to like muddle through. Because now, while we knew like the basic premise of like doing a show, of doing a podcast, the premise is easy. It's like you have your microphone, you have this, and you just record yourself talking. It's very, very simple. And you hear like hundreds of thousands of other podcasts that are out there talking about whatever that they talk about. And it's essentially the same thing. You just sit in front of your mic, make sure your sound is good, and then you record. But there's so many little details that you have no idea that you're going to run into that I don't think you can really prepare for it until you start getting into it. And that's the thing I think that separates a lot of people from really, really establishing themselves which I think we actually managed to muscle through it, was you're going to run into all these little hiccups. And sometimes it can be, there were times, even when we were kind of like, man, fuck, dude, just trying to get and every time we think we had our footing in that first season, every time we thought we had our footing, we would stumble again and we'd run into something else. And there was always, and there's always the ever encroaching what things going on in real life, which you just have to balance if you want to maintain the show. So it was because of the group of us. If this was like one person, if it was like just me, I probably would have given up on it. Or maybe if it was two people. But we have had this amazing support structure that's gone forward, not just from the live chat, but also in our own lives as well. All of us, I think all of us except for Eugene are married. We all have lives outside of this. And if the amazing individuals in our lives had not afforded us the opportunity and the understanding to put this show together and dedicate the time to it, they probably wouldn't have lasted as well. So it takes so much to come together just to keep the show viable, and we got so lucky in that respect.
And and you're not wrong. And there's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that you never run into. And if, it's when we hit a point where stuff started to get a little rocky because, I had another kid on the way. I was getting married. I mean, this is years later now. And, we get to this point where it's like this every week thing is going to start to be an issue for everybody had something going on. Right. And then Johnny steps in. And it was like, okay, we've got a little bit of relief here. This is great. And so we keep rolling, switching off. We're going to where we need to. Whoever needs to be on, we can do it. And I think we were so stuck on having all three of us on every single week. The second that we stepped away to like let two people do it or, let somebody take over, it was like, okay, we've got some leeway here, kind of refreshes everything. And then we get to another choppy point. It's like you said, we're all married. I've got 4 kids. I know Johnny's got like 4 kids.
Johnny's got 4 kids. Aaron's got 3, I think. Yeah.
And so it's like, stuff like school, it's just, there's a lot that goes into it on top of having to watch any movies that you haven't seen yet and come up with, stuff to talk about. And on top of all of that, just being here at that time every night. I drive from Dallas back to my house on the whole opposite side of the Metroplex. I leave there just after 5. It takes me over an hour to get home. I get home, stuff some food in my face, make sure that my wife's got all the kids squared away. And then I come out here and it's like, that's like every day though. After work, I come home, we do dinner, got the kids to bed. I've got like 1 or 2 hours to myself, maybe once or twice a week. So it's like pushing all that in. And then, Aaron steps in and it's like, okay, so we've got some more relief. It's like, now we can run this. And then you run your show, you run it by yourself for the first time, which was probably terrifying.
That was daunting. The very first time was like, I cannot tell you. So that was okay. So I wanted to ask before I get into anything like that, I wanted to ask you, Pat, in the past 4 years, do you have like a moment that stands out, like in the past 4 years for you in doing this show? Like one moment that was just like something dawned, like, holy shit. Was there anything like that for you?
I think when we had the directors of Host on was probably one of the biggest times for me.
That was a good episode. Richard Oakes and Adam Leader. Richard Oakes and Adam Leader.
Yeah, I think that was when I was like, okay, we're really into this, and it's not, we've had a few pretty big names on the show, but on top of that, we've also had big connections on the outside because of the show. Mm-hmm. It's like when we went to like Texas Frightmare Weekend.
Yeah.
And you got to walk around and there was like, okay, I get to shill my podcast to these famous people. And it was like, all right, cool. And I think that was probably the big turning point. I mean, when we had, who was our first?
The very first person we ever had on the show was director Matthew Mark Hunter.
Yeah, that's
who
right.
is essentially doing like the Sam Raimi thing, just like forging his own path, doing his own thing the best he can. It's kind of Sam Raimi, stuff like that. What's really interesting is update on Matthew Mark Hunter. The very first guest we ever had on the show, Matthew Mark Hunter has surpassed 200 films.
Nice.
And he is now working. He's also working for Trauma.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
that kid is on.
Congratulations, man.
Yes,
yeah,
he is on the way.
He was nose to the grindstone all the time, though. He's punching them all left and right. I think another big thing too was when we had Rebecca on.
Rebecca Kennedy.
Yeah, having somebody on that when she dropped the episode number of, I'm sorry, I'm going to jack this up. Was it Criminal Minds?
Yes, she had her episode of Criminal Minds.
And so when she dropped the episode number, I saved it and I went and watched it. I'm like, holy shit, we just interviewed this person on our podcast. Like, it's crazy.
Rebecca is such an absolute sweetheart. I love her to death. I've been following her career. She just stepped into directing. She has her directorial debut coming up, which is pretty badass. And it was thanks to actor Sean Whalen, who she was in a movie recently. I can't recall the name of it. I've seen it on her social media all the time. But she did a movie with Sean Whalen, and then Sean Whalen got her the opportunity to step into the director's chair for another project, so she's branched out as well. So
that's cool.
Unfortunately, the strike is hitting her pretty hard, just as a result of being union. But hopefully, she'll be able to pull through that. But yeah, she's blowing up too. So all kinds of stuff.
We've done a ton. I mean, even in the last year, man, it's like we've just stretched out and done so many cool things. And we've done things that have kind of flopped too. That's the other thing.
This is true. Yes.
Like, there's a lot of things that fell hard. Like, we tried to get Digital Darkness off the ground, and that was tough because that's an additional few hours a week that you got to put in.
Right.
I say few, it's like way more than that, but a few hours a week that you got to put in. It's hard to find the time, and we bounce back and forth with it, and that kind of but it lets you know that it's okay to fail and just keep moving forward. It's not going to be perfect. You look at any podcast that's been out there for as long as we've been doing it, and sometimes they get awarded an awesome opportunity and they blow up, or sometimes they completely fail. But then you see some of them that are at the same point that we are at this point, and then 5 years down the road, there are these huge names out there that you could find. I mean, you look at like Last Podcast on the Left; they've been running for 8 or 10 years now, and they didn't really pick up a whole lot. They picked up a lot on the back half, so it's like it's been a ride, but there's been these little glints of hope that are like we just keep
little thing. Yeah, the things that really stood out is like obviously one of the most harrowing moments, and we've had some behind the scenes. We've had some harrowing moments putting the show together. Sometimes when I was like but chewing my nails off because I had no idea what was going to happen. But I would say the most harrowing moment was the first time going solo on an episode because. There's so much information and there's no one across from the other person. There's no one to bounce ideas back and forth with. So that was like a unique challenge that I had not. I was like, can I do this? Can this be done solo? And I knew we'd done it with two people. Two people was fine because at least you have crosstalk, you have a back and forth. But going solo was so harrowing, and I can say that it was a unique experience at the end of that episode when that episode was done. And I was like, okay, I think I pulled it off. The energy expenditure, and I think because now I can do it and it's okay. Like I can do a solo show now because now I'm used to it. But that very first time, I was so fucking exhausted that at the end of it, it was just like I hit the end stream button. I just had to sit back and go and just decompress because it was so wound, and then it just all the energy just went right out of me. I was like, oh fuck, now I got to go to bed. So that was wild. But we've had a lot of amazing moments on the show. And as a matter of fact, so before we go into any further, let's go ahead and make sure that we get this up because people were asking for it. There's the amazing Patreon banner. All those names that you see traveling down there at the bottom, those are all the amazing people over at our Patreon family that help to make this show possible. We do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very, very much for this for 4 freaking years. And let's run down because we got time. We got some time. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to pack into this episode. So let's say hi to who we've got in the live chat. I know I've got some starred things that I want to take a look at as well. God, we've got so many announcements to go through. Anyway, first and foremost, Sherry Tilley is here. Good to see you, Sherry Tilley. Says, hey, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Casey Cooper as well says, well met. Got agent rejection letter number 44 today. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on, Casey Cooper. Keep fighting it. Keep fighting the good fight.
Might be 45. It might be 85, but you'll get there. Keep going.
Absolutely. Raven Darkstar, good to see you. Says, hello, all. Thanks so much for being here, Raven. Do appreciate it. Always good to see you. Who else do we have in the chat tonight? What was this? Casey Cooper says, I'm betting that as tonight is the season finale, and we'll have multiple people on the panel. It will be a wee bit late in starting. Fool you. It started on time because I honestly thought I was going to be by myself, and then all of a sudden, Aaron. Oh, sorry, I did it again.
Twice, Jesus Christ!
Fucking hell! What the hell is wrong with me?
God, we don't even look alike.
What? No, you don't. You really don't. And I don't know why I did that a second time. Why did I was expecting Aaron? If you don't show up on the show, I'm going to call you. I'm just going to call you Alex. So. Anyway, Casey Cooper says, I don't blame JL for this. He tries to hurt the cat, so to speak. It's not, well, sometimes.
Hey,
sometimes
no, you're not wrong.
I don't want to throw anybody in the bus, but you're not wrong. Let me see here. Who else do we got? Raven Dark's Jail's Bane, and plenty of obligatory ghosts. I appreciate those ghosts. Raven Darks are very, very much. Ghosts are always amazing. And wrote it no less name. Good to see you, Gabba Gabba to you, sir. So suddenly I picture Jail as Bane from Nolan's Batman. Fun fact: I cosplayed as Bane one time years ago at Fan Expo.
Oh shit!
And this is
you
actually
pulled it off really good too.
And because it was back when I mean, because at one point, because you knew me at a point when I was heavy, and then there was a point when I lost a shit ton of weight, and you saw those pictures of me. And then after I dropped from about 250 down to about 185. Jeez. And then after that was all cardio, just like I ran it all off me. And then I bulked up to about 220 in just I went hardcore in the weight training. So I bulked up to like 220, and I was like really proud of myself. You know what? I think I could cosplay as Bane. So I actually put it together. I still have the pieces. You know, Angela handmade me the arm piece. Nice. Everything out of leather. It was badass. So I put the costume together, and there is somewhere out there, I have no idea, I don't have copies, a photo series of me as Bane with another dude as Nolan's Batman. Nice. Squaring off in like the hallway of like the Irving Convention Center. It's pretty fucking badass. So it's a fond memory back from like 20. What was that? Like, I think it was like 2014 or 2015 or something like that. So it was a lot of fun. Travis Brown is here. Good to see you, bud. Thanks so much for being here. Evening, y'all. Just been exercising outside. Fantastic. Always good. Robert Biter's here. Good to see you, bud. Says, well done every day. Well done, everyone involved in your podcast. Is midday here. So it's a wonderful boost for the workday. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Robert Biter. We do appreciate that. Casey Cooper says, Jail is Matt Powell's Bane. I am Matt Powell's Bane. I will break that boy. Let me see who else we got here tonight. What is this? The power for me. Oh, Rodno says, for me to exercise, I'm going to need a young priest and an old priest. The power of treadmill compels you. It absolutely does. It does. You know, and once you get going, it's really, really addictive. It's a lot of fun. Who else we got here in the house tonight? Jay Verse is here, who has arrived. Good to see you, Jay Verse. Thanks so much for being here tonight. And I see as well. Yeah, that's right. I was hanging out in the Discord. I was hanging out in Discord before I popped over here. I did feel like I cut it to like a couple of minutes. Casey Cooper, thank you so much for the membership chat. That is, Casey Cooper has been a member of the Army of the Dead for 2 months. Thank you so much, Casey. And don't forget, if you want to support the show, you can through channel memberships. Channel memberships are available for 99 cents a month. You can support the show. But guess what? All of the emojis that I promised you are now available in the chat. And there's a bunch of them because we have a lot of channel members. So I got all the emojis done. So feel free to play with those emojis because they're all there. And there will be more as we get more channel members. We'll unlock more emojis. So we got all kinds of emojis for you. So enjoy.
And while you're in there hitting the emojis, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe button.
Thank you so much for that plug. Charlie Welch is here. Good to see you, bud. The only man on the internet never make a bet with. Says Ghostface, Ghostface, Ghost. Yes, there you go. There's those emojis. Absolutely. Have fun with those. Those were fun. I found those and was able to put them together, and I think they look pretty good. Sir Casey Cooper says, well, Matt, happy finale. Thank you so much, Casey. Appreciate that. Sarcasm's here as well. Says, hi, guys, gal, and NB pals. Good to see you, bud. Joshua Lee is here as well. Says, hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Joshua Lee. Appreciate that. Yeah, but he's having fun with the emojis. Operation Free World is here. Good to see you, bud. Says LMAO. That was a real metal reaction to a metal intro. It was. It truly was. Yes. Jaloco is here. Says, yo, good to see you, Jaloco. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Wild Stallions. Come on, dude. You missed it.
What? Shit. I was
Alfred Blood 832 is here. Says, hello. Good to see you, bud. Thanks so much. Oh, yes. Johnny's probably having dinner sarcasm. He probably is. Who else we got here tonight? Oh, yeah. They're blowing up the emojis now.
Hell yeah.
Now that they know about him. Joshua Lee, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says 4 years and Alex has moved from the garage to another garage. Congrats, Weekend Horror crew. Hope the movie production goes well. Thank you so much, Joshua Lee. We have so many cool things in store for you. We really, really do. I cannot wait to share everything with you. So absolutely. It's going to be fucking amazing.
Garage thing, it's much better. The loft upstairs where I've got my main PC is right next to the kids' rooms. So it's and
I
went from a 3-house garage to a 5-house garage. So that's an upgrade, right?
There you go. So a huge, giant thank you to Sarcasm, who just gifted 5 Weekend Horror memberships. Thank
Hell
you
yeah,
so
let's
much.
go.
So welcome Frayed Edges, Juggernaut Jared Reed, Crippled Cat, Jefferson Spatchcock, and Puffy Mummy to the Army of the Dead.
Woo.
Enjoy those new emojis and, of course, the channel badge. We do appreciate that. Yes, a huge shout out to the Patreon members. Thank you so much for being here, all your support. Javier Hara is here as well. Says, hey guys, I'm not in shape and maybe I'm not here. Well, if you aren't here, we know you're here in spirit. And if you are, we appreciate you for lurking. Thank you so much, Javier. We do appreciate that. Yes, play with those emojis. And I think they're adorable as fuck. So thank you very much. I hope you all enjoy. Let me see what do they look like on the live. All these look amazing. I hadn't seen them on the live chat yet. They look in. They came out good. They don't
pop in on StreamYard. They just say zombie Freddy.
Yes, yeah, they just have the name. They have the name of the emoji. But I'm like looking at them. They look great.
Oh, they look super good.
They look awesome. Fantastic. Yes, little icons, little horror icons all over the place. Fucking amazing. All right, but it has been an amazing, an incredible 4 years of Week in Horror, and of course, we are so looking forward to bringing you season 5. So many things coming up. Here's a question: does anybody want to see the new artwork for season 5?
Let's go.
Do you want to? Let's go. So let's check out. I want to show everybody the new artwork for season 5 because we have some new artwork for the season, and of course, I don't want to spoil. So first and foremost, let's check this out. Let me get the screen up and let's go to this one. So I give you the new artwork for season 5, courtesy of Joshua Olsen, who does all of the amazing artwork that you see here, all of our limited edition t-shirts. And so that is the Week in Horror season 5 official artwork. Eugene, Johnny O, you see all their names down there. I love that 5 in there. This was, I love the minimalism. What do you think, Alex?
I love it. And it went from one thing and we built off of it. The original image is still there, but the V in there, that was added later because it was like, okay, 5, put in there. We talked about use the 5. We went back and forth on this for a long time. So it was cool. I hadn't seen it with the names in it yet though. I hadn't seen the finalized with the names. It's cool.
Yeah, because it was looking a little unbalanced. I was like, oh, you know what's missing? The names. We need to have everybody's names, just like we did with the season 3. Sure. Yeah. So that was. This is the.
Know what too? This is something that do you still have the files for these?
Yes, I do.
Did you get an SVG file with it?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure he sent me one. Yeah.
If you got it or like a PNG, send it over to me. I've got an idea.
Oh, okay. So this is the official artwork for season 5. I see a lot of love in here. Oh, and I totally missed it, and I do apologize. Ivy Gentry is here in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, Ivy. I apologize for missing you, as well as Denova28. Denova, another one of our amazing patrons. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We do appreciate that, y'all. So, yes, we've been hanging out with Black Phillip a little too much. But that is the official artwork for season 5 of Week in Horror. Nice minimalistic, style. Love the spray paint design. I love what Josh Olsen prepared there. But here's the next one. Who wants to see the official limited edition number 6, the 6th limited edition shirt for Week in Horror?
Travis is gonna love.
Travis is gonna fucking love this one. I think a lot of people are gonna love this one. And a huge giant shout out to Joshua Olsen again for putting this one together. Here is the official artwork for the 6th limited edition shirt for Week in Horror. Our very own TP9000 shirt has finally been made. There it is.
It. Oh, this is great. Yes. Shit. Now I gotta spend a bunch of money in the store.
So yes, we have the TP9000. Sarcasm says, my meme. Yes. Yes, the mind behind it. It is not over 9,000. If it was over 9,000, it'd just be too much. But with the TP9000, you too can make every film a masterpiece. You absolutely can. So there is the Turd Polisher, the Turd Polish 9000. It is real, and it is revving up to make all films masterpieces. Absolutely are. So this artwork, the TP9000 artwork, and the Week in Horror official season artwork are now available via Teespring. Shirt, sticker, drinkware. It's all there. All of it is live right now on our Teespring. If you want to pick yourself up a t-shirt, if you want to pick yourself up the season 5, the official season 5 artwork on a pint glass, if you want to pick up your official sticker so you can get your full collection, All of that is currently available on our Teespring. I've lowered those prices as low as we can go because Teespring prices tend to be kind of on the high side. So I kind of drop them down. It cuts into our profit margins, but fuck it, I don't give a shit. I want them as low as I can so the people can enjoy them. I know that there's some people out there that have like full collections of the stickers. So now all the season 5 artwork is available. The limited edition shirt is now available. All available in our Teespring. The link is down there in the description. So that would not be possible without each and every single one of you. All of you made that possible. And of course, a big shout out to Sarcasm, who I think Sarcasm came up with the Turd Polisher 9000 as this growing thing of this habit that I have of making bad films sound good, or finding like the bright spots in some films. So let me see. So I'd see there's a lot of love for the Turd Polisher 9000. There's a lot of love for that. Rodnell Sam says that's fucking brilliant. Thank you so much, bud. Do appreciate that. Alfred Blood says I think that shirt is the meaning to success. It absolutely is. Travis Brown says, oh great, that is what we need. The image of TP in our beer. We do.
Absolutely.
Raven Doctor says, how long before I should start worrying about not getting my t-shirt yet? It is on the way. It should be. Let me see here. Yes, on the way. Teespring has always been, I had to double check the scheduling. So, but Teespring has always been a little bit slow on the deliveries. So I do apologize for that. But keep in mind that from now on, the stuff that we send out will include the season 5 stuff. So you can get those by winning the trivia, by winning the trivia contest at the end of each episode. So those will all be available as well. But if you want to pick one up, you can pick one up directly from the Teespring. So, but yes, there is the new artwork for this season. I was very, very excited to reveal that. And of course, all the new merch that we have available there as well. And the next thing that I wanted to do before we dive into horror movies and stuff, I wanted to spend a few minutes because we only get to do this once a year, and I know that I know how much we try to express how much we love all of you out there, every single one of you, for making the show possible. You turned your guys' dedication and your listenership. You could choose to listen to any podcast you want. You consistently come here and listen to us every week, ramble on about horror movies. It's whether it's a decompression that you need through the week, where it's like right there in the middle of the week, so it's time to decompress and have some fun, or whether you're a filmmaker yourself and you're picking up the little tidbits that we happen to drop along the way from our own experiences, or a new way to look at a movie that you really, really enjoyed. Either way, we greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I wanted to kind of open it up to the live chat to hear what y'all say. Do you out there, anybody listening out there, and of course, if you're listening to this after the fact, you can just leave a comment down in the comment section if you're hearing this later. But if you happen to be here, I'm really, really curious. I wanted to open it up to the live chat as to, do y'all have any favorite moments or favorite memories from Week in Horror? From the years that we've been doing this, what are some moments that stand out to you? Because we have ours that kind of stand out to us, but it's really what y'all take away from it. And if there's something that you remember specifically, like that moment, we would love to hear what that is. And here in the live chat, feel free to just throw it down. We love you, so we want to read it. And of course, if you're listening to this after, leave a comment there. Tell us what your favorite memories from the last 4 years of Week in Horror. Something that just stands out, something that you really dug. Maybe something different that we did. Something, whether it was the new trailer or whether it was the new thumbnail artwork, or bringing Johnny on or Aaron on or something of that nature. What would a favorite moment you have, or a favorite memory you have, or something insane that happened during a live stream, or like the time that I called Aaron 3 times, the time that I called Alex Aaron 3 times in a fucking live stream. So yeah. So this 3 times. I'm not going to do it again. It's 3 times for comedy.
Don't set yourself up for failure.
I know, right? Oh, let me see. Who do we got? So Travis Brown says, he's first up. Says, winning the first time on the After Dark trivia. You are the man, and you are damn near fucking unstoppable. You really, really
and
are.
The second and third and fifth and 12th.
And the 12th, 19th, and 32nd. All of them. Casey Cooper says, I remember JL being so nervous about flying solo and then killing it. Thank you so much, Casey. I appreciate that. I was nervous as fuck. And I've done solo live streams before. I was like, solo live stream. I can do a solo live stream on my other channel. On this one, I was like, what the fuck? Definitely.
See, here's the thing though. When you get nervous, you just unlock the box in your head with all the knowledge in it. So you just keep spewing facts, and
I know, right?
It's fantastic.
It just kept like coming out. It was like, oh, eventually I have to like watch the timer because I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna run out of time. I gotta like, because I go off on like fucking Mandy rants and shit, and I can't do that for every single movie that we talk about. Technically, I could, but I'll eventually be the only one here talking. I'll be talking to myself. Let's see. We got Charlie Welch says, our best memories were back in the day when I used to win shit a lot before geeks like Travis got here and effed me off. Yes, Travis is pretty unstoppable. He's pretty unstoppable. It's hard to take that man down. He knows what he's talking about. Let me see here. Wrote it in last name. Oh, Angel Rivera's here. Good to see you, Angel. Thanks so much for being here tonight. We do appreciate you being here for the season finale. Let me see here. Wrote it in last name says, my memory picturing Christopher Lee in American Beauty. Very nice. Sir Cab says, my favorite moment, seeing my meme on merch. I'm truly joyful to the edge of tears. It is our absolute pleasure. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for spawning this amazing meme that has lasted for years now. We had to commemorate it on a t-shirt. So it's there. It's now official. The TP9000 exists. It absolutely does. So thank you, Sarcasm. Travis Brown said, learning about the different witchcraft films and hope you guys and you guys dealing with that stream. I feel so bad for Aaron that was the episode that he fucking came in on. Like, he made his debut on the podcast with the witchcraft series. He's never let me live it down.
And I can't even remember. I think he came in. I was going on vacation or something. It was gone. So there's no way I could be there. And I was laughing the whole time.
I felt so bad for him. Just like, welcome to the show. Watch these 18 crappy movies. Like, it was fucking hilarious. But that's the way we do it. We toss them in the deep end. That's why that event right there was what inspired the limited edition T-shirt of Aaron. Like, I think that was number 5, and it was Aaron in the internship. It was like, this internship sucks. That was the inspiration for that, was him having to come in and watch the entire witchcraft series to make his debut. Raven Doctor says 5-hour Mandy rants. Fuck yes, 5-hour Mandy rants. Operation Free World says, I haven't been here long, so my favorite moment thus far is 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. Fuck yeah. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Ivy Gentry says, you guys are just a ton of fun. My favorite memory, though, is you guys assuring me Google isn't cheating for the trivia, but I still don't Google. If I don't know, I don't answer. Cheers. Cheers to you, Ivy. Cheers to you. That's noble. Noble. Joshua Lee says, all the After Dark and Bloodbath debates I got to be a part of. You rock. Thank you so much, Joshua Lee. Angel Rivera says, I love that t-shirt. It's the TP9000 is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Operation Free World says, how dare you put my typo on the screen? Sorry about that, bud. But definitely, if any of you out there have any favorite moments that, the past 4 years, anything that stands out, anything that you really loved, or maybe something that you didn't like, let us know down in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you have to say, like what you took away from it. So maybe a movie that we talked about or some insight into something, whatever it may be, we want to hear from you. We absolutely do. And of course, don't forget, if you ever have any questions about anything, you can always ask. We always love to talk about not just the movies we talked about here, but also the shit that we've got going on, like professionally speaking, like the films we're working on, or, different projects that we have going on, or like questions about making a podcast. That's one thing that we sometimes get a bunch of, is like how we put things together. It's like how we put it together, how we market it, how it's going on, all that stuff. So yeah, so definitely put those in those comments below. We love hearing from you guys. Oh, and I actually have to check something really quick. I want to double check.
Shit,
because it's almost complete. You know what? It's not 100% complete yet, but I will say this. Did you know that the website weekinhorror.com is live? The new website.
It's pretty sweet.
Oh, Raven Dark says, get rid of the bloody air horn. We just love it so much. We love it so much. But yes, weekinhorror.com, our official website, is now live. So it's not 100% complete. There's still some things that our developer has to add into it. So, so it's not all 100% there. And we have a few more things we're going to add to it. But weekinhorror.com is now live. It links to our Patreon. It links to the Teespring. It links to every single episode of Week in Horror. Not to mention, in the future, weekinhorror.com will be expanded to be the platform in which each one of us, with our film endeavors, all the projects we're working on, will also be allocated. So you'll be able to keep up with us via the website on everything we're working on. You get access like special, like literally early access to trailers, early access to premieres, all kinds of stuff. Not to mention all the things. I can't spoil too much. We have to leave some to be surprises, but weekinhorror.com is now available for your perusal. You can add right now, it's pretty much just all the episodes. It's where you can access everything that we've got going on and the Patreon and the Teespring. But that is available now. So the new website is now available. Not yet complete, almost, but it's good enough that we can pop it up and we can start generating traffic to it. So we have that available as well.
Well, you said every episode.
Uh-huh.
Not 1 and 2, right?
Oh, it's all available.
Oh,
it's all available. Every single one. You got to go all the way back to the very fucking beginning for episode 1 and 2, but it's all there. But it's good because that means people can listen to us as we progress, as we get better, because we improve over time. At least we did that
significantly.
So Sarcasm says, that's awesome, JL. Will there be a subscription option or live broadcast there? We are figuring out the live broadcast thing. But as far as right now, we will be utilizing the Discord in order to do any kind of premiere stuff until we can figure something out with the website, because that's a little bit more complex. But the website leads directly to the Discord as well. And of course, those who are Patreon supporters of the show will have automatic access to the Patreon-only channel and, of course, all of the benefits that go along with that. Because remember, we made changes to the Patreon. Now there's just $1 and $3 tiers. That's it. $1 and $3 tiers. So you can support us for that. You can support us here on YouTube, however you want to do it. But the website will be available and big announcements will be going up via that way as well. So we're going to expand the website out further, but we wanted to let you know that platform is available. So you can check that out. So we want to make sure everyone was aware of that. Angel Rivera says, one of the fond memories I have of Week in Horror is seeing you guys talk great about a movie and being able to buy it digitally at a great price. Awesome. That's fantastic. That's great. Raven Darkstar says, in the years, I've got only 2 answers correct to trivia, but can't type fast enough. It just takes practice. But you have one. There's so many people that haven't. Yeah, definitely. Rodnella Ames says, my favorite future memory will be the confetti cannon to go with the air horn. We're going to implement it one day. We may just do that. Casey Cooper says, JL and Johnny are the yin and yang of the show. JL loves everything and Johnny hates it all. We are opposite ends of the spectrum, and you guys kind of, you fill in, you balance us out. So it's like a nice spectrum, within there. But Johnny on one side and I on the other, where I can find no wrong and he can find no right.
If we announced a movie and it cut to just JL and Johnny with real life reactions, JL would be holding the TP-9000 and Johnny would have the garbage can open, throw the film into it.
He would. Let's see. Josh Lee says, not to mention Johnny hating almost every film on the show. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Sir Captain says, most of my answers are off the dome, but there have been a couple of times where I know I saw the answer reading up on the movies and breezed over and had to go back and look it up. Definitely. Ivy says, I couldn't believe I was the only one who knew the answer was Evil Ed. There you go. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me see here. Oh, Javier Herrera says, my favorite moment, Eugene's visual cards. Yes, Eugene's storyboards are a unique thing that you can get here on Week in Horror. Very sexual in nature. I don't think he intends it, but they certainly are. Very, very deep stuff. Denova28 says, the first time I heard Johnny on the show, I knew he had to be a part of it. Bringing Johnny on was I think was one of the moments that ensured the show would survive, because we had gotten to a point where things were getting busy and we had in real life stuff going on, and we already had one host fail because we brought on a 4th host. And unfortunately, that didn't work out, which which actually threw us kind of for a loop, because we were like, "Wow, how did that not work out?" And so, if you've listened to the episodes, I don't want to call the gentleman out. He's a good dude. I worked with him in the past, why I brought him on, because I knew him. It just unfortunately didn't work out, and he did good work, for the time that he was here. But we were kind of in a state, and Johnny coming onto the show first is kind of like a guest. Then we made him. Then he agreed. He wanted to come on and be a part of the official cast. When Johnny did that, I honestly think he saved the show. That we were in a state where we were almost like, can we continue doing this? Can we keep doing this? And this was in season 2, so we were like, what are we gonna do? And so we were everything was uncertain. Everything was up in the air. I was stressed out. We didn't know what was going to happen. And then Johnny came along, and I legitimately will say it straight up. Johnny coming into the show saved us because it gave everyone the breathing room they needed. And that was the first season I was able to actually take an episode off where I could go and I could do my stuff. And Johnny enabled us to do that, enabled me to take time to take an episode off, allowed people to start, breaking it up so you didn't have to be there every week. I think he saved the show. I honestly do.
I would agree. And I know I've told this before. You bring him up, so I got to tell the story again because there's been people that have joined since then. The thing with Johnny, this is what's really wild. Just quick backstory. Me and JL, we used to work with each other, long time ago.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. Back like what?
It was a long time ago.
2015. And so we worked together for a long time. And, we hit it off. And then we kind of both went different ways. I think you quit way before I did.
It was like I left I think it was like a year and a half. Was it a year and a half? Or maybe a year.
Something like that.
Something like that. It may have been closer to 2 years. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a little while before I got fed up earlier than you, faster than you did.
And so I went through my life stuff. I quit my job because it was trash. I started my own little business, and then JL just hits me up one day. He's like, "Hey, I've got this idea." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's hang out, see what we can do here." And we stumbled through weeks of punching this out, and then we kind of stepped back and we're like, "All right. Do we need to restructure? Do we need to do anything?" We kind of changed the format a little bit. We went from what do we do, like 5 movies or some shit?
I mean, back at the beginning, it was unhinged. Like when I was putting everything together, I had to go back and look. And number one, writing out the description, I did a piss poor job. So I had to go back and read.
So long. It
was awful, and we had no balance. We had no pacing. No. We had no idea, no structure whatsoever. We were just like I said, we were muddling our way through it. And there was an episode where we did 7 movies in one thing. Yeah. There was time when we did 5 and 4, and we trying to play with it. It was fucked up. There's one where we did 3. We did 3 movies. I was like, why did we only do 3?
It was because we had things so scripted out that it was just we were so structured. But we learned what we didn't want, and we took that out and moved forward with it. So we got doing that. I got to meet Eugene. I hadn't worked with him before, but JL had. So JL knew him, and then we met. We all clicked, and then Johnny came on, and I think it was way deep into Johnny being on the show that I realized we used to work with this guy. I won't use his name, but he was in a band, like a metal band, and he was constantly showing his music at work. I was like, all right, fine, I'll buy a CD off of those two. I was like, all right, they're pretty good. So they were doing a show local in Dallas. And so I went out to this show and I watched this band play, and I was like, yeah, cool. Had our night, went on with our lives. Johnny comes on this show and he's like talking through something, and things were clicking in my head. And I was like, hold on, who was the drummer in your band? And he's like, oh, it's this guy. And I'm like, no shit. I had seen Johnny play at this metal show years before I had even met him in real life. And then even longer after knowing him, that clicked together. It was like, what the fuck? The whole circle closed. It was insane. Like,
it's
holy
fucking
shit.
Amazing.
Just by happenstance, we had, come in contact with each other at one point. So that was pretty cool. That was, little backstory. It was weird how it just circled.
It's a small fucking world, man.
It's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, man.
It's like we gravitated together, So it's just wild how it happened because I met Eugene by chance. By sticking by basically, I was in the creative mode. I'd left the job. I'd finished my novella, and I was like, I got to do something creative. And so I was like, I'm 40-hour film festival. Somebody was looking for a writer. It's like, I just got done writing a novella. I can write. So, and I knew how to write a screenplay. So I'll write. Why the fuck not? I'll write. Then I find out I'm writing a comedy, and I'm like, oh, fuck me running. I don't write comedy. It's like, shit. Well, you know what? What better way to try than right here on this? So I show up for this 48-hour film festival. First time I've ever been a writer. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna fucking do it. Blah blah blah. So I show up, and they've got a laptop going. They've got final draft up, and I was like, okay, let's start brainstorming, putting it together. So we started putting it together, and bam, that was where I met Eugene. And so Eugene's coming on as the DP. We're like, hey, I'm JL. I was like, hey, I'm Eugene. I was like, okay, great. So we start, and the minute we started talking, it just clicked. We automatically had a shorthand where we were damn near finishing each other's thoughts. We would go in a direction, the other person would be like, right there, right, yeah. So the two of us were in sync. And we managed to get that done, and we put together a pretty good project. I'm not that great at writing comedy, but, it was my first outing, and I was like, fuck it. It got made. It's all good. So we put it together, but since that moment, Eugene and I just kind of clicked. And I thought it's rare to have that, which is why when I was like, let's do this podcast idea, I was like, Eugene and I clicked so well, maybe Eugene would like to do this. So I offered it to him, and he was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I got nothing better to do. It was like, hell yes, maybe it'll turn into something. And then I was like, you know what? We need some real color commentary. We need someone who could really provide, because we got like writer and we got like director, DP over here. We got some technical stuff. I'm the giant nerd. We need someone to really offset this. Who do I know who could really provide that kind of like that Jerry Lawler fucking color commentary and shit? And I was like, fucking Alex. And it just popped into my head. I was kind of like, who do I know? Oh, fuck. I bet Alex would like to dig this. But it was weird because it was years. It's like we hadn't really talked. And I was kind of like,
not for a long time.
I popped out of the blue. Like, we were aware of each other on social media, and I was kind of like, I was like, maybe Alex will. So I sent him a Facebook message. Hey, Alex. It's it's me. And it was like, hey, let's do it. And then you were like, why not? Let's fucking do it. Something new. And I was like, and the way it happened. And then Johnny, I met Johnny through Team Skeptic, who is another YouTube content creator. And Johnny had been a show. And then Johnny invited me on his show. So I was on the plot hole. And then all of a sudden I was like, hey, dude. And then we found out we love horror movies. So we started doing like, like funny horror movie reviews. We did like a few of those, which was kind of entertaining. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, you want to be on the show? It's like, sure, we brought him on as a guest. So, we have the episode, guest starring Johnny, like Johnny O from the plot hole, until eventually full-fledged member of the cast saved the fucking show. And then as it turns out, like, Johnny knows Eugene, and then like, Johnny, and then it just, how it happened, it was just,
no idea.
Serendipity? Is that the word for that? Serendipity?
Yeah, I think that would fit.
Fortuitous?
Talk about horror movies, not English literature.
All right, let me see. Genova28 says, I greatly appreciate you guys. Y'all got me through my shitty work days and made my days better, so thank you guys. Our absolute pleasure. Thank you, Genova. We're glad we could bring that to you. So, anything to make the day a little bit better. So you rock, dude. Thank you so much for being here, bud. Rodinell's name wants to bring back the Four Beardsmen. I'd love to, but, Irish is too big for us, But maybe one day we'll have a reunion, hopefully. Rodinell's name also says, I'm just glad I have a platform to toss out some shitty and not so shitty humor. Absolutely. Sir Cab says, that's how I got here. I subbed to Johnny's channel after seeing him on Team Skeptic. He shouted out Week in Horror, and the rest is history. And now you have a t-shirt that commemorates your idea. That's how that happens, baby.
Works. Damn.
That is how that happens. Mr. Cthulhu, this is your wake-up call. Absolutely, I wish. Eugene, shit gets real. Oh, yes, that's another thing. Did you know that we have a puzzle on the Teespring?
I saw that on the merch.
Yes, a shit gets real puzzle.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so puzzles are available? It's a 500-piece puzzle? Fuck yes. It's got to be the shit gets real. And then you can like turn it, you can frame that shit. I'm so tempted to like make puzzles of all the limited edition artwork, so you could have like a whole series of the puzzles together, framed, like put together and framed. Yeah. Javer says Kismet. That was Kismet. Absolutely, it was Kismet. Sir Kev says, I thought we were here to talk about horror movies. We are. I was also. This was twofold. This was. I was trying to kill two birds with one stone, because if I can burn some time, we could get some more people. We get the other members of the cast here. I was trying to buy time for them, just in case they pop by before we dive into the real shit. But he is correct. Sarcasm is right. We do have horror movies to talk about. We have, I think, some good selections here. But first and foremost, I have to throw this out here. So, Denova says, I remember the creation of the kink-shaming cannibals.
That was a great episode.
That was an excellent episode. Kink-shaming cannibals. Kink-shaming cannibals, which went from like a spitball idea that we just kind of came up with on the fly, and in a future production, in an upcoming film production, that band will be making an appearance. How does that fucking happen?
And I remember it clearly because it was like we were talking. It was like, was it The Hills Have Eyes or Last House on the Left or something? Or
I think so.
Something like that. One of the two. And so we're not here to kink shame the cannibals. And I was like,
that's right. Kink shaming. That's a great name for a band. You should write that down.
Oh, it was a good time.
Oh, the shit that comes together. And then all of a sudden, the King Shaming Cannibals became a t-shirt, became a limited edition artwork, and now all of a sudden, the band will actually be making an appearance in an upcoming production from here at Week in Horror. I love how this shit just organically grows. It's amazing. So fucking
That's some
cool.
Jay and Silent Bob shit right there.
It is, right? Oh, fuck. All right. Oh, Operation Free World says, I think building a puzzle is the opposite of shit getting real. So great irony. Thank you very much, bud. I appreciate that. All right. So before we dive into tonight's selection, I have one more thing that I want to showcase with y'all. So this is an upcoming trailer that I saw that I have to show everybody. It is so rarely that we get Thanksgiving horror films. But there is an upcoming Thanksgiving horror film called Thanksgiving. And we have the teaser trailer here. And in case you haven't seen it already, which you may have already, but because it's been out for a few days. But if you haven't, I give to you the teaser trailer for the upcoming horror film coming out this year, for the upcoming horror film Thanksgiving. Let's check this out. Cue up the Terror Tube. Also a favorite moment of mine was coming up with the Terror Tube because I fucking love this thing.
It's good shit. Smooth.
Thanksgiving is a time for appreciation.
I fucking love this dude in
It's a time
suits.
to remember our many blessings, to celebrate with the ones that we love the most, and it's time for all families to be together. Let's see.
Yes, that was the teaser trailer for the upcoming horror film Thanksgiving, which is directed by Eli Roth. And so it's based on Eli Roth's mock trailer from Grindhouse back in 2007. This bad boy finally got made. It's about a serial killer known only as John Carver who comes to Plymouth, Massachusetts with the intention of creating a Thanksgiving carving board out of the town's inhabitants. Fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, but yes, written and directed by Eli Roth. So the mind behind Cabin Fever and Hostel and all kinds of gory nastiness. And of course, Green Inferno as well.
Yep.
So looking forward to that. I think it is scheduled for November 17th, 2023 for that to drop. So we finally got a new Thanksgiving horror film. So that was just the teaser. Definitely there will be a full trailer, obviously probably released in October. And we'll definitely check that out. But yeah, Alfred Bliss, I wonder what it's about. It's about Thanksgiving. It's about coming together as a family, you know? Because the family that slays together stays together. Oh, Ivy Gentry says, "Oh my God, the night we came up with the King Shaming Cannibals was awesome." It was, and Sir Kev says, "It was Commander Darklight, if I remember correctly." I think so. It's been a minute, obviously been a minute, but Commander Darklight has also been an amazing support of the channel. You know, I think one of our longest patrons here on the show, and of course, you know, a huge supporter of not only ideas but also just everything he's brought to the table. So thank you so much, Commander Darklight. I know he's probably not in the chat, but we do owe a giant thank you, an immense amount of gratitude for all of his support.
Absolutely.
Sir Cab says, trailer opens like a Hallmark movie and then shit gets real. It absolutely does. Yeah, we got Hobo with a shotgun. Yeah, Travis Brown, we got Hobo with a shotgun and machete. So this will be nice to see. Hobo with a shotgun. I fucking love Rutger Hauer and that shit. That
fantastic.
It was fucking amazing when he's just like that whole opening when he's standing there like looking at the nursery. And just like read that monologue, and it was like a hobo with a shotgun. It was like, yes, go out there and fuck some people up, dude. Fucking awesome. All right. Well, we have some films to talk about. We got the script up. So, how about I kick it off to you, bud? I know it's Eugene's name is there. I wasn't sure like when he was going to be able to be on.
I figured it was going to be all willy nilly. So
right. So why don't we dive? Let's dive into the films we're going to talk about tonight. And then we'll get to some stuff at the end of the show. But let's dive into the films that we've chosen. So go for it, dude. Kick us off. What do we got?
Oh, let's start it off with a classic. This is going to be Jennifer's Body. Came out September 18th, 2009. Let's see it.
kind of evoking ginger snaps
You're
there.
going out tonight. Wear something cute, okay?
You always do what Jennifer tells you to do.
It's just that I like the same things that she likes.
Hey, Jennifer. You look really pretty.
Why don't you just come by my place? Well, this is random.
This isn't really your house, is it?
We can play mommy and daddy.
No way.
We always share your bed when we have slumber parties. Jennifer's evil.
I know.
No, I mean,
know.
she's actually evil. Not high school evil. Chip is looking really cute to me lately. How is he tasting these days? You are never a good friend. You could have anybody that you want. Why Chip? You're killing people. No, I'm killing boys. Are you scared? Thought you only murdered boys. I go both ways. I will finish you if I have to. Okay. You can barely finish gym class.
I remember when this came out. I was like 19 years old. It was a terrible time in my life. Just kidding. It was great. But this one is directed by Karen Kusama, written by Diablo Cody. This one stars obviously Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. Amanda Freud. No, Seyfried. Adam Brody, Johnny Simmons, Sal Cortez was in this, Ryan Levine. Chris Pratt was actually in this too. Kyle Gallagher. There's a whole bunch of kind of big names into this one.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, J.K.
Fucking,
Simmons.
it was like the cast just kind of blew my mind. And fucking
It was-
Amy
yeah, it was
Sedaris in
wild.
this. It was like, holy shit.
But this one, obviously, Jennifer, she is put up for as a human sacrifice. When it goes wrong, she becomes a succubus and starts feeding off of the boys in her school. And since Eugene is in here, listen, shit gets real, like real fast.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. This okay, so I gotta give it for this one. Go even back in 2009. There's one thing that I love. I especially love is subversive horror, and I thought that there was one thing that Jennifer's Body did well, and I hate to knock her because Amanda Seyfried is a tremendous actress, but Megan Fox, and I hate to knock her down like that. Despite the weakness of that, because I think it's the ability to emote, but I think it worked. I think in this particular situation, it worked to her advantage, was because everyone around Megan Fox in that film is such a phenomenally talented actor. No matter what role they're playing, so Amanda Seyfried is absolutely amazing. Kyle Gallner is fantastic. Everybody who was working around her was great, and I think that Megan Fox was actually well cast in this one. Despite some people, I've heard there's a lot of complaints about her acting and that she couldn't really emote, as well as everybody else, like emoting with her eyes, emoting with her face. That's a talent that not every actor really has. It's a pretty wide spectrum. But I felt that it actually worked to her advantage of this because ostensibly, once we get past the opening moment, the opening scene when she's like, this pretty face, she's not human anymore. So she doesn't convey things like a human does. Everything comes out very kind of almost sociopathic, almost like a flat affect, which makes sense for the character itself. So I think this worked to her advantage as well, which I thought was just
in.
So we like a beautiful girl that can do a natural affectless performance, and I thought that worked to her advantage as well. So I thought that was actually good casting, because at first I was kind of like, really, Megan? It was like Megan Fox. Okay, but then sitting down and I'd seen the movie years ago because it's 2009. I'd seen the movie years ago because I was 29 when this thing came out, and so now I get to sit down and kind of watch it kind of like a retrospective. And the horror in this film is so phenomenally on point that Diablo Cody has I think Diablo Cody came to fame with Juno, Michael Cera, and I thought, and I loved Juno. I thought it was great. It was funny as hell, and it really had a good understanding of the teenage dynamic. But in this particular one, it's not just the teenage dynamic of what's going on in high school and hormones and shit, stuff like that. But Diablo Cody has such a phenomenal understanding of the dynamics between men and women, between boys and girls, in pretty much any state, that it's almost, I would almost go to say, this is the kind of stuff that Joss Whedon was striving for as far as what horror was, but never went as far as Diablo was willing to go, which I really, really love. Like, this is almost like Joss Whedon's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the whole high school is hell thing, was very much, I would say, like young adult. And then Jennifer's Body takes it to the next level and says, this is where, we're going to really dive into these things instead of just like touching on them, which I thought was really, really brilliant and a very, very smartly written film with intelligent characters who are also, not so overly wordy, but, conveying things very realistically. I loved it. The pacing was strong. The buildups were excellent. And Jennifer being a monster like that, I thought everything was well done. Not to mention all the little, like, smart little nods that were within the dialogue, which I thought were really good. Overall, it's a very, very well-constructed film. But the thing that sells it is how fucking subversive this film is. And I think when I was younger, that kind of, I know what it is. Tell me if you agree with me on this. When this came out in 2009, I now, right now in 2023, feel that this film was actually ahead of its time. Because societally, and even from a horror perspective, I don't think people at the time, back in 2009, were ready to really have this conversation. But now in 2023, this conversation is like one of the big ones that's happening in this nation right now. There are topics that Diablo touches on, which not only between girls, between women and women, girls, in their dynamics with other girls, but the girls' dynamics with guys, and what people are looking for, what people want, and the inability to communicate, and the things that how we express ourselves so poorly. I think this was way ahead of its time in that respect, and I think the only reason I have so much more respect for it was because of what we're now societally aware of. Do you think that's possible?
I would agree. I think in 2009, it definitely was. I mean, it was, there was a lot of stuff in there that dropped, especially with Megan Fox, Jennifer, her character. Something happened. There's something happened before the time that we see that made her the way that she is. And I think there are a lot of things hint to her being in bad situations with men or with boys. And
with her family, predominantly her
with
father.
Her family, yeah, something.
Yes,
and it's there. I mean, it's definitely like an underlying feeling you get through the whole thing, because it's like she doesn't seem like she's just a piece of shit. She's just hurt, and so yes, in that respect, that now we talk about stuff like that openly. After all the hashtags and after everything that we've overcome as a society, being able to talk about those things and standing up for yourself in those situations, I would say that probably a little bit, it definitely touches on topics that people would not have openly shared around that time. But I think we were ramping up to it. So I think it played well in that respect, that it was things that kind of maybe were showing their faces a little bit. So yeah, it was right. Smart in that respect. And like you said, it's hard. You got Megan Fox in there, this is one of her earliest, public or big roles, if you will.
Right.
And still Amanda Seyfried was still pretty young. And so, yeah, there was a lot riding, I think, on the actors. But also, like you said, Diablo Cody comes in with this great vision, has done these like Juno, these very smart, not over the top, trying to hit on it's like social subjects, but also bringing light to stuff that, maybe Diablo is passionate about. This is the way that it gets portrayed. So yeah, it was very smart, and I would agree it was probably slightly ahead of its time. I think you could drop it now and it would have the same effect, a good effect. I think you could do it now and it would still be relevant.
I think the viewpoints on it, if you were to remake this and drop it today, it would definitely ring, I think it rings that bell a bit stronger than it did back then. I think that people were kind of unprepared for the conversations, like the general public was unprepared for the conversations that this movie was demanding people have. And what I find intriguing about this is, like, definitely I would say Jennifer's Body, and I may get some flack for this, but I feel that Jennifer's Body is definitely a feminist horror film. Feminism in horror is always such a very, very dicey subject, because horror typically runs the gamut of categorizing women in a very specific light, where they're either the victims, they are the virtuous, or they are or they embody that which we find collective, well, which we typically find in this puritanical society that we have of women in a particular. It quantifies women in a very, very particular way, depending upon essentially by their usefulness to the plot. So you have definitely have your outliers, Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor, the individuals that stand out where we showcase it, but I wouldn't so much call those as feminist films because they don't dive so deeply into feminist territory or the issues that women face in today's society like films like this did. I think Jennifer's Body definitely was a feminist film, and what got me the most was it wasn't just about saying, here's this problem that women deal with and this extraordinary situation where this woman, becomes a victim, and then, as a result of that, she's able to use the fact that she was a victim and empower herself and take control of her own life. It wasn't just about that. Diablo Cody was willing to explore both sides of this, and they're both things that are very, very, that I would say reflect reality in a way that I think a lot of people don't really talk about. And that was the turning the tables on the men that are basically on boys, because she was like, I only eat boys in that respect, because boys, what they want, they're hormonal kids, they just want to get laid, they're only thinking with their dicks, and that this is opportunity. She was victimized by men, so she can now turn the tables on that, and she can victimize them in turn. That she has embraced her power and she's utilizing that to her own ends. But Diablo also dives into the territory of how women treat each other in their various relationships. In fact, that we realize that Megan Fox is the hottie, and Amanda Seyfried, although I don't know how she could possibly ever be the naughty, but technically she's the naughty in this one. They call her name is Needy. Her nickname is Needy in this one. And yet she's the one with the power, and Megan Fox is not, because everything that Needy has, everything that Needy has, Jennifer wants. And so Jennifer's relationship with Needy is literally just to undermine her own overwhelming insecurity. And that's why she drafts off everything that Needy has. Even when she's human, she jokes about, your boyfriend's looking pretty hot, and it's kind of like, why would you say these things? Because there is an overwhelming insecurity there. That's not Jennifer's fault. But then again, Jennifer doesn't have the self-awareness to address it herself, and she refuses to listen to her best friend, who, despite her behavior, is still her best friend. And so it examines this dynamic, which I don't think really has ever been put in the horror genre before, to see how these things can erupt into such an explosive. Yes, she's a succubus. It's supernatural. It's it's horrific and bloodletting, and people get eaten, their guts ripped out and shit. But looking at these examples, it's important that we have like these relationships, when they finally get tested, they finally get dug down to, they do blow up in extreme ways. We find that we never, people were never really friends before. People were just, using each other. And Diablo Cody was willing to go there and have this conversation where, yes, our empowered female, our empowered woman still has problems. And she never says that, she never victim blames Jennifer, but she doesn't let Jennifer off the hook either, which I found intriguing. That, it was Jennifer's unwillingness to listen to her friend, Jennifer's insecurity that led her into her situation. And then, of course, when Jennifer uses it to her advantage, she's still being led by her own failings. She's being driven by her own misgivings about herself, and then Needy has to step up in that. That was a level of honesty that I wasn't prepared for, which I thought, really drove the story.
It was a very complex, toxic relationship that kind of covered every aspect of what is like a almost symbiotic toxic relationship in a way that tells you that whoever was writing this, had experience with it, or maybe, had a panel of people that they went back and forth and talked about their experiences. And just the thought that went into the writing was insane. You can look at it and be like, oh yeah, there's, Megan Fox sex symbol. That's going to be their selling point. But there was truly like a very deep story in every relationship that Jennifer held. It wasn't, just with Needy. It was with everybody. There was always something there that, she had to take from them because she never felt like she was enough. And then you've got one person leeching out, feels like they would never be anything without, you got Needy feeling like she's never going to be anything without Jennifer. but then comes into her own and stands up for herself. You know, it's just, there's a huge underlying story to the whole thing. It's creative.
I liked marketing wise, because they obviously in the trailer we have the sequence where Amanda Seyfried's making out with Megan Fox. It's like, ooh, we're gonna do this, like Cruel Intentions, you know, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Selma Blair. We can see them make out. That's a big part of it. But unlike Cruel Intentions, Jennifer's Body actually, I think, legitimately had something to say. Whereas Cruel Intentions just being a retelling of, you know, like that the French story L'Enfant Terrible or something like that, the terrible children. So in Cruel Intentions, it was just like, you know, look at look at how shitty rich people can be, you know. Whereas in this one, they lead with that in the trailer, but then you go into it and it's like, I found myself just like, oh shit, I completely forgot that there was like this big makeout scene with Amanda and Megan, and how they were willing to go there, and how that that intimacy is a reflection of how fake their relationship is, and a man, and how Needy has become keenly aware of this, and how even she can be taken in by the superficiality, but then immediately rejects it because it's so antithetical to her character. And yet Jennifer, like, literally sinks deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and just trying to drag other people down with her, because that's all Needy is. Needy is her life raft. She's her life preserver. Without her, she bottoms out completely, and she turns into a homicide. Because that's the big change. Once she realizes she's lost Needy as a friend, then all bets are off, and she just like gives in completely and completely loses her humanity. When now everybody is a target, because I'm the victim in that respect. So it's just such a subversive fucking film that I think everyone should go back and watch it again, especially knowing what the conversation what we're having today. And I thought Diablo Cody had her finger on something, and probably from her experiences, because she came up working in the sex industry as a stripper, and she used those experiences to inform what she knew, to inform Juno, and also to inform Jennifer's Body, which I thought was just a brilliant stepping stone, you know. And so I really, really dug this one in particular. I thought, you know, and technically wise, it's an extremely well shot film, very well acted. I really, really enjoyed. J.K. Simmons fucking killed me on this one. The one-armed, hook-handed, curly-haired, kind of like, you know, hey kids, I'm hip. What's going on? You know, that kind of character. No explanation why he has no arm. Nothing else like that. That's just who he is. I fucking love that. Just little elements he can bring together. Not to mention the unsung talent of Kyle Gallner, who is an underrated talent in my opinion. If you haven't seen The Cleansing Hour, definitely go check that out. He's fucking amazing. Oh, the Alien Code. Alien Code is currently free on YouTube. Definitely go and check that out. He's really good in that. But this one I think is one of those rare moments where it's a good perfect storm, where everybody was perfectly cast, even Megan Fox, in doing cast in doing exactly what she can do well, and that is look hot and give a fairly affectless performance that suits the narrative that's being told, which I think was most important. It's like, we need someone hot who doesn't come off like we need someone who can be inhuman naturally, you know, give this even give this like one-dimensional performance, which is good because she's a fucking demon. She's a monster. She's not human. So that's why everything comes off so strange. So I thought it was really, really good. Yeah.
I agree.
Let's see. I think we had a couple of new people pop in here. I see Aaron Reese is in there holding down the chat. Good to see you, Aaron. Thanks so much for popping in, bud. Remember, you got the link. And Left-Handed Jedi's here. Says, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Left-Handed Jedi. And Colin, definitely not Cromwell, is here. Says, this is why I love this channel, JL. Please leave some thoughts for the rest of us. I will do my best. I absolutely will try. Aaron Reese brings up, it's a gender-based catch-22. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, definitely, that's what I dig about this one. And of course, but feminist horror is not the only horror out there. This happens to be one of them. There aren't many that I would say are legitimately feminist horror, but there are a few.
There are. And I'd like to ask the audience, what do you think is the best feminist horror? And best in the way of, okay, you know, it could be the best film, you know, because of the acting and it's a good movie, or best point of view, you know, something that really hits everything that needs to be hit, because there's a lot of stuff that does need to be hit. I mean, you know, as a society, we're starting to really pull out all the issues and make light of them, and I feel like that's really important. So what do you think is the best? Could be from either the point of view, like I said, or just a good film.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's one of the. Oh, Tony Regime is here. Good to see you, Tony. Sorry about that. I apologize. The chat was kind of scrolling by, so I thank you for being here, Tony. Appreciate that. Let me say, I think my favorite is the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Christy Swanson. Christy Swanson, Luke Perry, Paul Rubens, Rutger Hauer. That's one of my favorites, just because it's so much fun, and it came out when I was young. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Fucking Aaron. Yeah, Aaron Reese brings up Rabid, 1977. Ooh, fucking David Cronenberg. Yes, Rabid was amazing. I thought that was just, and it was so. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, the lead actress in that worked in the. This is what's intriguing. She was known for her work in the porn industry. Okay, and when Cronenberg cast her, he wasn't 100% sure. He was like, I think she can get it. I think she can. Physically, she's got it, but can she bring it on an acting level? And apparently, this girl came in and fucking knocked it out of the... She did. She knocked it out of the fucking park because she did her work. She showed that she was as talented-wise, acting-wise, as she was just doing, basic, sex films. So, and that was such the shock there, is that she really brought it, and she conveyed that character so well. Genova 28 brings up The Descent. Fucking A. Really good one.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
NA says, hey, everyone, good to see you. NA. Thanks so much for being here tonight, bud.
We covered one that I think we kind of agreed was more of a feminist. It was an Iranian Western horror film. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Fucking yeah, Girl Walks Home Alone at Midnight. That's right. A girl Walks Home Alone at Night. That's right.
Yeah,
that was a strong one.
That was a great movie.
Left-Handed Jedi throws out Audition.
Yeah.
Wrote in a last name brings up Alien.
It's a good one.
Nice. Case Cooper brings up Revenge. Very cool. Let me see here. Case Cooper. Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps.
Oh, obviously.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Ginger Snaps is an obvious one. Definitely. The Tony Regime says if she can do porn, she can take direction. Apparently, according to David Cronenberg, she was just transcendent in the role. Like he blew her away she blew him away with the fucking dedication that she brought to the role, how studied she was, how in tune with the script she was. It was a level of commitment that he said if I remember the interview correctly, he said it was a level of commitment to the craft that he had not seen in a while in like standard actors, in like your average stable of actors. It's like you see that they bring in, but this is almost like when you're playing football in college and you're trying to make pro, you give everything you have every play of the game, and she brought that energy to it. So yeah, it was very, very impressive. Casey Cooper said Raw. Raw was a good one. Good French film about cannibalism.
Man-eater.
Aaron Reese said Rabid perfectly portrayed how women's medical issues and sexuality are treated as dirtier than men's, while also making commentary on gender-based violence. 100%. Out for Blood brings up the witch or the Vivitch.
Oh,
yeah.
The Vivitch.
The Vivitch. So many good ones. But yeah, if you what you think is the best feminist horror, definitely let us know down in... Oh, Blue might want to rephrase that. I was thinking about that, Raven, the minute I said it, but I said it, so it's out. But definitely let us know down in the comments below what you think is the best feminist horror. Definitely want to hear about that. Oh, Alfred Blood brings up Silence of the Lambs. And yeah, from Clarice. Had some excellent moments there, like when she goes into the autopsy room and all the cops, all the officers are like, so who is this chick? She's like, this tiny little girl is going to come in here and tell us how to do our fucking jobs and shit. Definitely. Ooh, Prey, the latest Predator film.
Yep. That was a good
Definitely. Let's see. Sir Kev says, I know it's listed as a comedy, but I think it's misgendered, so to speak. But I'm a cheerleader falls into the horror category for me because the whole concept of conversion therapy is terrifying. Agreed. I can see that. Also, All Cheerleaders Must Die, I would say, is a feminist horror film. That was written and directed by Lucky McKee. So, but yeah, I think All Cheerleaders Must Die. It was a little kind of on the nose in some of the stuff it did, but I think it's definitely up there. Teeth. The girl with
absolutely.
Teeth, definitely. The Omen. Zombie strippers. Come on, Charlie. Yeah, I guess it's taking their power away from the.
All right.
All right, let's jump on to our next one. So this one released September 19th, 2014. We have the Chilean horror film The Stranger. You ever given yourself a stranger? Sorry. Let's check out this trailer.
I'm looking for Anna Parley.
She doesn't live here anymore.
Do you know where I can find her?
Jesus, he's not breathing.
He came to the house asking about Anna. And you brought him here?
Don't touch my blood.
Or I'll kill you both.
We're sick.
What did you do with the body?
He wasn't dead.
Who are you?
He's not a danger to anyone.
How do you know that?
The only danger here is you.
You told me you didn't know who he was.
I don't! Why didn't you save him?
He was infected.
I don't know where you came from, but your life is gonna end.
If you touch me, I'll have to kill you.
Go!
So now you know what we are. We're humanity's death sentence.
Don't touch my blood.
Yes, that was the trailer for The Stranger, which was a Chilean horror thriller directed by Guillermo Emodo, written by Guillermo Emodo, and produced, you saw in the trailer, by Eli Roth, starring Cristobal Tapia Montt, Nicholas Duran, Luis Gnecco, Ariel Levy, Alessandro Guerzoni, Lorenza Izzo, which you may remember from The Green Inferno, and of course, that Keanu Reeves film where she and Ana de Armas come up and torture Keanu Reeves. I can't remember the name of that film.
Not Constantine.
Not Constantine. It was like, they show up at his porch. They show up on his doorstep, and they like oh, that was such a fucking ridiculous film. Anyway, Aaron Burns, John Allen, and Pablo Villa. The film follows a drifter who enters into a small town looking for information about his estranged wife. I thought of Guillermo del Toro. Aaron Reed says, The Stranger is horrible. You start out with no grip because your hand is floppier than a wet fish. Then you get the pins and needles before you manage to climax. Thank you so much for that description there, Aaron. We do appreciate it. Thank you for clearing up.
Could be dropping that live in the stream. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been amazing. But anyway, so going into this film, you have to admit it's a bit of a slow burn. So, and when you finally kind of figure out what's going on, I think that this film initially didn't really know what it wanted to be, because it starts out in one direction, which felt very much akin to like he never died. Films like that one, but then goes into a completely different area. But by the about the second act, we start realizing something's going on with this guy that came into town. I think honestly, the moodiness and the pacing kind of derail this one. It could have been really, really solid, but I don't think they were willing to go in the direction that it needed to go to tell this particular story. I think that was the problem with this one, is that it kind of got in its own way.
I would agree, because like you said, it starts off real slow. There's a lot going on that you're trying to piece together. You're trying to figure this out, and then it just it goes left and right, and then it, I don't know, it gets actiony and then real slow, and then I think you're exactly right. I couldn't put it any better. It got in its own way, which it was a cool concept, the whole, because you get to the end of it and you're like, okay, but we could have done that a whole different direction. Like,
I'll give it this: there were some fantastic little moments in this film. Like my favorite one that got me and like really caught my attention was when Peter at the end drags the fucking dude out into the daylight and like pins him down there. Yep. And he's in the fireman's outfit. I was like, that was fucking that was pretty brilliant. But then it's like this uncut shot that's so brilliantly done because he brings him out and he's pinned him to the ground. And they're out there in the daylight, and then like the smoke going everywhere. And then like he like stops moving. Peter gets up and walks away, and then you see his clothes just deflate.
Yeah.
I was like, that was that shot I thought was brilliant. I thought there are a bunch of really, really smart moments in the film. Just really good, like, instances. It was kind of like, this would look great on film. This would look fantastic. But they're all kind of strung together in what I felt was a very, very kind of haphazard way. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm willing to attribute this. It's possible that because this is dubbed, that the cadence is generally what throws it off, which may throw some people off of this film, is because when you listen to it subtitled, when you watch it subtitled, it feels a little bit more natural. But when you watch the dub version, it'll definitely kind of throw you off because the way lines are translated from I think the way it's translated in English is not the best way it is to convey the idea, to convey what the information they're trying to put out there. So I think the dubbing version actually harms this film. And if you don't mind subtitles, I would definitely watch it with the subtitles instead. Watch it so you'll hear the natural language, which is fine. But I think it doesn't take away so much because you've got the pacing of the English dubbing. Then you got the pacing of the editing, and they don't quite match. And that kind of throws things off. And you get this kind of like off-kilter kind of sensation throughout the entire film. Like things aren't like timing correctly, which I think is just the unfortunate effect. That was my takeaway, was the unfortunate effect of just the dubbing process, which kind of harmed this one.
Now that you mention it, there's a lot of camera shots that would have worked a lot better. They cut away before, a line is finished because it's done in native language, but then we got to translate it and it ends up being longer. Yeah, there was a lot of weird like little quirks like that. I watched it. It's hard. I tend not to watch. I'm watching dubbed movies. I tend not to watch their face too much. It's just kind of a habit, just to because it's hard. You're watching the lips do one thing and the voice is different, so you tend not to watch the mouth a lot. But yeah, now that you say that, it didn't quite line up right.
That's what I kind of got. It was the same reason why with Prey, like we brought up Prey earlier. Prey is so much better if you just watch it with the subtitles and you just allow the actors to speak in their native Comanche, because and eventually the only English you get is the English that's actually spoken. So, which I really, really thoroughly enjoyed. So if you get the chance to watch Prey, if you haven't watched it yet, watch it with the subtitles on. Let that watch it with the characters speaking in their native Comanche. It makes the film so much better. Where the only English that we hear is the English that's being spoken. Where if it's French or if it's Comanche, it's in fucking subtitles, which is important because it conveys something about the characters themselves, which I thought was an excellent dynamic choice. In this particular one, I just think it ultimately kind of harms it, which is just a sad. It's a foreign film, so that's just something you really can't avoid. So I definitely recommend with that one. The difficulty in this one is that, and this is what got me. I felt that this one came out because The Stranger came out in 2014. And, correct me if I'm wrong in this one. I felt that this film was trying very, very hard to recapture the essence of Let the Right One In and other subversive vampire films that came out before. That it was trying to kind of recapture that, but tell a different kind of story. So with the energy it had and the moodiness and the kind of slow burn with the intermittent moments of like violence, that's what it was trying to convey. Especially, and I got that feeling immediately with the park bench scene, and then the fucking assholes, Caleb and his fucking cronies come up and they like beat the dude up and stab him and piss on him, and it's like, and then afterwards shit gets fucking insane. It's got a little bit of kind of a like a Yojimbo feel to it, but nonetheless, the moodiness and the atmosphere and the darkness of the sequence, it felt like it was trying too hard to be something that it wasn't, trying to recapture the energy of other better films like Let the Right One In, with some elements of like Seven thrown in and shit like that. Because if you see the atmospheric change going towards into the third act, everything is so dark and so steely blue in the beginning, but then at the end we get like full daylight and everything is illuminated. So that, I mean, it could have been so good, the estranged vampire looking to come back into town and find what happened to his estranged wife, finds out she's dead, and then finds out, I don't want to give away too much because 17. Yeah, okay. There's no moratorium on this one, and then finds out that his son is still alive, and that this disease he has been passed on. I
Changes
liked
the whole dynamic.
right. I like the notion of the whole like his blood can infect others unless you like bless it, and then you can use it as like a healing thing.
Yeah.
So that was intriguing. It was intriguing little like an add-on, but nonetheless, I wish it had I wish it didn't get in its own way. It didn't try to be something else that somebody else had done. It's like we've seen this before. Do something that you have an interesting premise. Try to tell it in a way that other people haven't done already. It just kind of felt rehashed. So too many things working against it. Like I said, the film can't get out of its own way.
Nope, I'd agree on that. It's funny you said let the right one in because I think the left-handed Jedi had just mentioned let the right one in, right? I don't know if he was leaning towards the feminism comment or talking about the beginning of this one, but he mentioned it too. So you're not the only one. You're not the only one that saw it like that. Yeah, it really did follow that. I think going past the first half, if you separated them out, you separated the first and the second half out, it's good. But when you try to mash that story together, it gets so convoluted in the middle that there's a lot that is left to be desired. So, not terrible. Cool story. Could have been built better for sure.
I think that the number one reason to watch is, if you're a big vampire film and you like films that try to that subversive vampire films like this one, where they don't just go into the whole like 30 Days of Night style or Dracula style storytelling, they try to tell other stories that kind of like ramp up the humanity and ramp up the nuance. So I dig when people go in that direction. It's important to do that. But I think the reason to watch this one is if you're a really hardcore vampire film and you just want to digest all things vampire, or to see some really, really interesting cinematography and some good practical effect shots, which I thought were on point. And most likely, I would attribute that to the influence of Eli Roth. Like you could feel Eli Roth kind of like all over this film. Some moments, like, oh, that's definitely something, because there's a lot of cinematography choices that overlap. You could see is like, oh, he used that in Hostel, or he used that in Cabin Fever, or he used that in Clown. There's you see the inspiration all over the place. And that may have also kind of interfered with what Guillermo was trying to do. Possibly, I would be willing to hazard that Eli's kind of presence, or him being there's like, I'm Eli Roth, and who are you? You are just Guillermo Emoto. Nobody knows who you are. Or you're not the name. I'm the big American name. So that there may have been kind of a disbalance of power, disbalance of influence on the set. I just honestly wish that we'd been a little bit more original and not taken so much from so many other ones, because all it leaves you with is the taste is like, oh, I remember when they did that in another film. You keep thinking about, you don't want your audience to think about other fucking movies watching your movie.
Right.
You want to be like
paying homage, or, it just,
right.
Touching on stuff. But yeah, when you it's like, okay, we're going to take this scene's going to be from this scene's going to be from this. It just doesn't, there's no originality. And like we're talking about, the story gets a little convoluted. So it's back and forth.
Let's see. Sir Cab says, I watched it in the original Spanish. I think it was really good. I just feel like the characters were developed and had actual arcs. Agreed. That's the one thing. Is like, I got so much more out of the film when I watched it subtitled instead of dubbed. That it was just more immersive. The dubbing of it just takes you way, way out of it. And I think avoid the dubbed version at all costs, because it will really throw you off. It's kind of like, I think that's akin with a lot of, I got the same effect watching, there was that Mexican slasher film that we recently talked about. Son of a bitch.
Was it the kids one?
Yeah. Where they accidentally resurrect the serial killer.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about.
It was a Mexican slasher film but I mean, I watched that one cool. Subtitled as well. That was so much better. So I would go with that one. That's the big stumbling block on this one. But otherwise, it's not a terrible film. And it's got some really good, smart things going for it. It's just few and far between, and the film kind of stumbles in its own way because it really doesn't know what it wants to be. It starts in one direction and then kind of like slips into like the whole vampire drama. It's competent, but could have been a lot better. You'll see all the areas where it could definitely, if they just not tried to be let the right one in, that would be the kid. That would be the kicker. And I'm gonna blame Eli for that one. I think that was Eli trying to like really draw. I was like, ooh, let's go in this direction. We don't need to. You know, you have your own kind of idea here, which I thought was good. But the question I want to ask, this is the big thing that people will take away from this. Yes, it is a vampire film, but it really comes off as because there's feeding in this, like people feeding off people, or vampires feeding off people or feeding off animals. But the problem is that I would say this is very much a fangless vampire film. That while telling a vampire story, we don't really get the vampire effect other than infecting other people and making them vampires, or the sunlight, being killed in the sunlight. So
Right.
I'm curious, given how much of the aspects of vampire films were left out of this film in order to tell a different kind of story, do you, the audience, think that fangless vampires work? If we're going to do a vampire story, do we need all the elements that make a vampire story? Or can we kind of eschew those? Maybe cast them aside. We don't need like the big fangs and the big emo-ness and the shit like that. That we don't need this stuff in order to make an effective vampire film. But do we? That's my question I want to ask the audience. Do fangless vampire films work? Can we eschew those? Or do we need them in order to make an effective vampire film? Let us know down in the comments below, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. If you have a favorite that kind of like subverted the genre, let us know down in the comments below. Love to hear about that. Travis Brown says, it did not work with Twilight, so hell fucking no. Agreed. Oh yes, Joshua Lee, definitely looking forward to Satanic Hispanics coming up. Mike Mendez, fucking amazing director. I love hearing about his shit. I'm friends with him on Facebook, so I love hearing about the stuff that he has coming up. Satanic Hispanics is gonna be fucking hilarious. That's the dude, Mike Mendez, the dude who directed Big Ass Spider.
Yeah.
That has, in my opinion, one of the greatest intros to a horror film ever. So, Daybreakers. Daybreakers was intriguing. Lots of vampire tropes in that one. Lots of vampire tropes. Robert Biter says, vampire equals fangs, flying, turning into bats, and lots of boobies. Fangs, flying, bats, and boobies. I like it. There's your vampire genre right there. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Sarcasm says, just this, sometimes less is more, especially with vampire lore. The character study is what made this interesting. Absolutely. I would agree with that. I would. I like what the intentions were. I like what the director was bringing to it, how he framed his shots, how he lit his protagonist. Sometimes is it really the protagonist, or is this guy like he knows he's a fucking monster, and he's come to terms with it in that respect. So I loved the arcs. Just
for sure. Here's the thing. Here's my opinion here. With the vampire thing, if you're gonna do something different, if you're not gonna stick with the the fangs flying, bats and boobies, you gotta do something simple, because if you don't, then you start getting into aspects of the vampirism that you can't or don't have the time to explain. So you got to keep it simple, so you don't have to, you're not leaving the audience like confused as to like, well, how did the vampire do this? This doesn't make any sense. So they took a couple of things like the blood and the sun, and that makes sense. You don't have to explain that too much. So if you're going to do it differently without explaining it, simplicity is the best way to go. Hey, we've got this disease. If you touch my blood, it's bad. If I bless it, it's good. And I can't go out in the sun. You can tell that without having to spend too much time trying to explain it or leaving the audience confused.
Tony Regime brings up something. Tony Regime says, Jail, would you say that vampires have changed from representing the nobility, or the aristocracy, and living off the lifeblood of the peasantry, to representing global corporations, international banking? I wouldn't go. I can see the connection you're making there. I myself wouldn't go that direction. But in my eyes, I feel that vampires have that vampires have changed into representing individuals who have willingly, through their narcissism and through their almost kind of insecurity, have turned themselves into individuals who desperately need to draft off other people in order to survive. That they've come to represent those individuals that don't really have an identity for themselves, because everything they are is defined by subsisting on everyone around them. So it has gone from this idea of those that sup the lifeblood of the people underneath them and abuse them and use them only for their own personal gains, like their immortality, their riches, whatever they have, to literally the worst kind of person, where they're parasitical in that respect. They are literally the bottom of the barrel because they can't have anything unless they take it from somebody else. So I think it's traversed. It's both kind of like the worst of society, but I think that as a culture, we've grown to view them in a different light, not to view them as the unreachable, the unassailable aristocracy, you know, that feeds off the lifeblood of the masses, but as the individual just to avoid, like the scummy grossness that just kind of feeds off everybody around them because they can't do anything themselves because they need everyone else around to live, just to basically have an identity, to have something, because they're everybody's just an extension of them, you know? So I would go in that direction, that we just shifted the position. What we do in the shadows. I love what we do in the shadows. Absolutely. Sarcasm says capitalism is by nature parasitic. Vampirism is a decent allegory. I can see, yeah, I definitely see that. I do. Rubber Biters. Actually, I was wrong. There was a great film called I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle that featured a Norton with red cellophane over the headlight. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Joshua Lee says, that's why I was excited for Last Voyage of the Demeter. Went back to classic vampire fangs and like, agreed, definitely. Raven Darkster says, Vampire the Masquerade does all of it. Just choose your clan. 100%. And I was fucking Bruja every time. I was always Bruja. Everyone's got the clan in the Masquerade that they love. I was Bruja. My friend Cody was I think he was Ventru like all the fucking time. We had another guy in our group named Torrance who would always go Shamasei. I had one dude who's always Nos. So it was always Nosferatu. But yeah, I was Bruja all the free. I tried Gangrel once, really loved Bruja. I fell in love with the Bruja clan. I know that you have no knowledge of any of this, do you, Alex?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right, it's a role playing game, and you could do like live action role play, LARP, and shit like that. But it's tabletop role playing, and it's like, you can play a vampire, and you choose what clan you want to be a part of. And each clan has their own different like strengths and weaknesses. And there's Ventru, Bruja, Gangrel, Shamasei, Nosferatu, all kinds. There's all different, so many different ones you can choose.
Well, that sounds like something I'm going to spend way too much money on.
Definitely. It's been around for forever. So, all right, but definitely let us know down in the comments below. Do fangless vampire films work? You know, do they work? Can they? Let's jump on to our next one, dude. Take us away. What do we got?
All right. Okay, I'm going to tell you some part. But The House is October Build 2 came out September 22nd, 2017. Roll it.
Ooh, Tremere. Yeah, Tremere. Yeah.
Get out of the hole. Get out of the hole now.
Hey, you. Get out of the hole.
Get out of the hole.
Look who's back. Ready for Halloween Adventures Part 2?
Yep.
We roll through it, we rate it. Post pictures on social media, and just like I said, it's easy money.
I ended up in the ground last time, guys.
We have 24 million hits on YouTube. If you're Coffin Girl, that's who they want at their haunt.
No crazy stuff.
You guys are amazing.
I cannot believe you guys got me to do this again.
I want the craziest place you can think of. Because you want to seek out Hellbent.
I'm having second thoughts already.
You smell different when you're awake.
What the?
Look, who is on this? Who is this guy?
I don't know who that is. That's not one of our actors.
You know what, guys? I'm done.
Zach, look at the side.
We're in the middle of nowhere. I did not sign up for this.
Where the hell are we?
Come play with us.
Yeah, that was about it. Johnny would be shitting all over his found footage.
Oh yeah, and we're about to. We can't even salvage this one with the TP9000, but take it away, dude.
You can't. It's bad. It's obviously a found footage horror film. It was the directorial debut of. Oh, I'm sorry. This was not the directorial debut, although you might think it actually was because. Great. This one was directed by Bobby Rowe, written by Zach Andrews and Bobby Rowe. Starring Brandy Schaefer, Zach Andrews, Mikey Rowe, Bobby Rowe, Jeff Larson, Bob Ballou, Mary Chambers, Kate Biddle. This is following, kind of recovering from the trauma of the previous Halloween, being kidnapped by the Blue Skeleton. These five teenagers, 5 friends, head back out to then hit up haunted houses again, because you go through a completely traumatizing situation where you almost die. You just immediately jump right back into it because that's the best way to cope with everything, right?
Right. Yeah. Just
tear off the band-aid. I'd say that for if you fall off your bike because you're a kid, you can't be scared of the bike. If you get almost murdered and then buried fucking alive, you probably just stay home the next Halloween. But
so
let's go.
Rodent No Less Name says, better than an episode of Ghost Hunters? No.
No.
I'll say that straight up. No. And Extra J says, Turd Polisher 9000 won't even do it. Did you try the latest software update? Wouldn't help. Wouldn't help
Turn
at
it
all.
off and back on again. It's still there.
So here's the biggest issue. And yes, Johnny would definitely shit all over this one because, holy shit. Speak of the fucking devils themselves. There they are.
Hey.
Eugene and Johnny.
Hey.
What's up, y'all? Say his name and he shall appear.
We immediately said it was
JL said I would shit on. He's probably true. I probably would shit all over it.
You would, yes. The house is October built too. Yeah, this is definitely one that's primed for you to take it, for you to poop on. It absolutely is.
First of all, it already has a number 2 in the title. Right. That's all we need to know. Exactly.
It tells you exactly what it's deserving of. It's like
it's funny
deserving of number
this,
2.
We're talking about this shit found footage film, and they pop up on a fucking phone camera.
We're movie making. What's that over there?
Oh shit, man! I got motion sickness.
What's up, y'all?
There's no fucking plot here. No, anyway. So, but that's a big problem. So, what do you guys do? I know you just got done with Rack Focus stuff.
Yes. So we got basically just had a meeting for the screening that's going to be on September 24th, and then hopefully we'll have some new content to stream for our listeners and our watchers pretty soon. Awesome, just hint on a couple of things. Maybe a couple of new horror films.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to be just Eugene's storyboards again.
Either way, people will pay to watch it.
I was going to say, I'd pay to see those.
I will not pay to see those. I've seen enough.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
You don't have to. They're free for you.
They're free for JL.
Oh, this. Okay, then then if it's free, I have to imbibe. So bad, free bad drink. If it doesn't matter. If it's free, then you got to take it. You absolutely do. So everyone is saying hello.
Like people are going to cut it out and use it as a soundbite, JL.
They will. They absolutely will. Let's see. You got, Travis Brown says perfect timing. Sarcasm says, hiya, boys. Good to see you. Michelle with 1 L says, hey there. Good to see you, Michelle. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Everybody's saying hello to Casey Cooper, Joshua Lee. Everybody's saying hi. So,
hello, everybody.
Hello.
4 years, dude. 4 years, guys. 4 years.
4 years, season 5. We'll have the regular setup for the season 5 premiere.
Speak of the other one. Speak of the other one. He's fucking here too.
What's up, slut?
Like, fine, I guess.
And just in time, Sarcasm. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, I had your back, Johnny. I was shitting on this one before the trailer even finished.
Thank you.
Sarcasm, gotta represent.
Thank you so much, Sarcasm, for that super chat. We do really do appreciate that support. Rodent No Less Name says, never play Pictionary with Eugene. And Rave Darkstar says, Eugene and storyboards, no thanks.
True story.
You can play Pictionary because you already know what it is.
Big black cock.
Game of penises.
Why does that penis have a 90-degree bend in it?
Because it's a right penis.
I think they've been drinking.
I think they have been.
No, that's just Eugene's. You've seen Eugene's storyboards.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
No, Alex, you've seen the storyboards.
Oh.
That shake of the head tells me that you have seen them. You're trying to erase them from the etch-a-sketch of your brain.
Get out! Get out!
Great. Oh, good time. Hey, everybody. That's weird. I don't know. I wasn't prepared for all these people here.
Yeah, it's awesome we were able to get the cast on here. I know, unfortunately, Angela is currently involved in something. I think she's doing something as far as like her computer stuff. So she's involved in that right now. But she definitely, Angela says hi to everybody, and of course, congratulations to all of you, every single one of you, for 4 seasons of Week in Horror. Each one of you has been integral to this whole thing. So we love you all and we appreciate it. I especially as much. You've made this whole kind of dream come alive, and everything that you guys have brought, has been absolutely amazing. So, did somebody fart?
I heard that.
Like somebody fart.
No, my
like
stomach might have growled.
I heard something like, like, thanks, guys.
That was an airplane, I think.
Yeah, apparently planes keep flying overhead.
I'm like pouring my heart out. And it's like, hey, I love you guys so much. Oh, thanks, yo. Appreciate it. It's like.
That was an airplane. Love Field. It's right over there. Southwest.
With love.
So what do you?
16 planes.
Yep. With love.
What are you guys planning on now that you're done with Rack Focus, or now that you're out of that?
Well, I mean that's for the After Dark.
Do we have something? I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Say, do we have that special thing?
Not yet.
Not yet. It's
close.
90% done.
90%.
Yeah.
What about the other special thing that you brought up, Johnny?
That's the other podcast.
So we'll have a couple of surprises. There's the main surprise, another one you're talking about, and then we have another surprise.
Oh my God! Surpriseception. Are we going to be surprised?
Surprises within surprises.
Surprise within surprise.
Aaron can't take it.
No, my computer's just losing its shit. Like I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Computer said, "What surprise?"
You want to see a surprise? Blue screen.
Alfred Blood says, "My heart can't take it." We have so much stuff coming up. We're excited to share it with y'all. We can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be fucking amazing. So many cool. Oh God, fuck, man. I can't spoil it. I can't keep talking about it. I'm going to wind up fucking spoiling something. I almost did during the front row, because I can't keep I'm like fucking Tom Holland. I can't keep my goddamn mouth shut.
You spoil a lot of things, JL.
I do. This shit's fucking exciting me. I need a Mark Ruffalo. I just sit right beside me. Shut up.
They're like, Tom Holland, you actually released Spider-Man 2, and he's like, what?
Oh no.
Oh, need a Don Cheadle to be like, no, stop, you're gonna get sued. It's like, stop it. Stop, shut your fucking mouth. So I can't be spoiling stuff. Yeah, but yeah, we do have so many cool things coming up. After 4 years of Week in Horror, we have all this stuff in the background. And of course, you guys know that weekinhorror.com is available. It is now live. You can say it's not 100% finished, but it's there. You can check that out. And of course, you guys have seen all the cool new merch that we have on the Teespring store, the season 5 artwork that's gone out, the Teespring, the fucking Turd Polish 9000 shirt that's available. And of course, Eugene's puzzle with his catchphrase is available as well, which I'm particularly proud of. I like that it came out so well.
Oh wow! I totally went a different direction when you said Eugene's puzzle. I'm like, oh no.
No, it's not. No, it's not his storyboard. Not the storyboard puzzle. That's not it. Yeah.
Using the storyboards. Oh no!
It's a puzzle you can piece together.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
I think
kind of is a good idea.
Well, we are about to dump on the House That October Built 2, and I have some very, very specific things to say about this motherfucker. But Aaron, you already gave sorry, I did it a fourth time. I have 4 times.
He's even here.
Four times I have called Alex Aaron.
Just keeps doing it.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
You need to wear like a name tag now.
At least you got one letter in without fucking the name up. I'm just saying, it's progress.
Four fucking times I have done that. That's just so fucked up. But yes, Alex, you have done the breakdown already. But we're gonna jump on this shit. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hang out. I know you're sitting there staring at the phone, so I don't know how comfortable it's going to be.
No, yeah, we'll have to bounce out. They're still like in front of the office building.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys for popping in for the season finale. It's awesome to see you. If you're able to, we're gonna be going for a minute longer. So if you're able to get to a computer and if you want to pop back in, definitely do so.
Yeah, once I get home, I'll see if y'all are still going. I'll hop in.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Later.
Yeah. Bye.
X-rated storyboard puzzles. Fuck yes, Casey Cooper. All right. So back to the Houses October Bill 2. So holy fucking shit. Okay. First and foremost, I will just say straight out, this is what happened. Like this kind of movie is what happens when, and I'm just gonna be bluntly honest on this one. This is what happens when you do not have the balls to try and do something different than what put your name out there. Bobby Rowe, who is a talented director. So Bobby Rowe, who was the mind behind the first Houses That October Built, which is about a group of individuals, about the same characters that were in the second film. They go out, they're examining the extreme haunted houses, which was, back in 2014 was kind of a hot thing. It was like, ooh, extreme haunts, can you make it out? Blah, 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 blah. And they wind up getting tormented by this group, strange group called the Blue Skeleton, which the movie winds up with them being buried alive, buried in these coffins. So the second one takes instead of taking all the good ideas that were generated in the first film about this subversive underground cult that kidnaps people and puts them through this psychotic extreme haunt style that winds up in their deaths, instead of going in that direction and building off of that interesting premise, which is what allowed Houses That October Built, the Houses October Built 1, the first one, to overcome its found footage weaknesses. Instead, they do the exact same fucking thing in this film. Go ahead.
It's not different at all. That's the thing.
It's not. It's the exact same fucking story. Yeah. Only this time they draft off fucking April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And in the worst, number one, boring as fuck. Why would you do this? Why would you make a movie if you're not even going to explore something? This is what happens when you take the safe option. Now, I feel bad because I am really throwing Bobby Rowe under the bus here. And Bobby Rowe is a fucking talented director. He's a smart, capable writer and director, and yet for some reason and this was 3 years. It wasn't like this one was greenlit and suddenly sped out to get out 2015. 3 years going into this. Plenty of time to explore something different and maybe even get more of a budget and go in that direction. But man, okay, so Hell House LLC, Sarcasm brings up, I find it inconceivable that Hell House LLC came out a year after this and did it so much better. Hell House LLC was amazing, and the second one and the third one, and hopefully soon we'll get the Hell House LLC Origins film, which is the fourth film coming up. They expanded the mythology and took it into new directions while ostensibly still doing the same found footage tactic, which is what makes that trilogy work. Because they have an expanded universe. They brought new ideas and they went into new directions with every single installment. This one does the exact same fucking thing, and it's all hinged upon a character going out and saying, I'm traumatized from the first film, but yeah, I'm going to go out and do it again because you're going to pay me a bunch of money. What the shit is that noise? It's implausible.
No, you're not wrong. It's completely implausible. It's not the way that anybody would act, and then it starts it off in a bad fucking. On a bad thing. This needed to be completely different than the first one for it to work in everything, even the found footage part of it. Use some of the found footage stuff, but make it like a Blumhouse style film, and you might be able to save this one. But it's the exact same movie. It's still so stupid. Who does that? Who gets fucking almost murdered and is like, yeah, I'm gonna go back up.
Let's go out and do
They
it
end up in
again.
the exact same fucking.
This is what happens when vanity and greed fuck in the back of a Volkswagen. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, that's that. I mean, everything that was solid about the first film, they completely drop it. The idea they like, I mean, the ideas that they brought up at least were interesting in this idea that there was a group that because I mean it capitalized on one thing. There in real life, we have individuals that do these extreme haunted houses, like really extreme stuff where the actors can put their hands on you, they can fuck with you, and they show you extreme shit, like 21 and up level like nonsense. And the phenomenon of this is exploring what the first movie does is explores the kind of individuals that drain this shit up. Like that's what's intriguing about the first film. Is like the type of people that willingly want to put it on and the people that want to experience it. And then they take that and they put it in, and found footage worked for it because it's putting you in their shoes. And then the idea that there's a group of psychos out there that's doing this shit for real. That's intriguing. But then they turn it around. No, none of it's real. It's all a fucking marketing ploy for clicks and views. And now we're going to fucking use this one girl, the girl from the first film who's traumatized, and we're going to capitalize on her trauma, her viral trauma by doing it to her again. And then, and then she fakes him out at the end. It was like, they went in no new directions. In fact, they actually undermined the first film by cutting their legs out from underneath them, which I found was really fucking shoddy. And just relied on these overdone fucking horror tropes. Not to mention, the scary aspects of the first film, that you have people running around in costumes and you don't know who is who. That natural unknown fear that the people that are around you in the extreme haunted house may have different motives and you don't know who they are because they're the masked villain. All of that is taken out of the way when all of a sudden our heroes in this film get drugged and then dragged out to the middle of nowhere to this hellbent place, and okay, so now we know who the bad guys are. It's just like everything is just lazy. It's lazily done. It's lazily shot. It rests on its laurels and doesn't try to capitalize on anything it built and just completely undercuts itself, which is why it just ultimately it fails. It's an abysmal drop. It just plummets from the first film.
See, that's the thing that sucks about it's basically the democratization of filmmaking. All of this technology has put all this stuff in amateur filmmakers' hands. It's great. It opens stuff up to people like Johnny, Eugene, UJL. It opens up a lot of venues. But there is this tendency to believe that just because you've got gear, you can go and you can make some money. The reality is that when you're not only taking low tech, but a low tech premise, sort of something similar to social media or anything like that, you're going to have to put more into generating plot because you're going to have to kind of twist devices here and there to really get the audience into immersion. And then you've got to execute a really good plot. But because they can get a hold of this stuff so easily, like the least talented people with a little bit of money can run with it and get way farther just because they got lucky here and there, rather than truly talented individuals who just didn't catch a break or just didn't get this budget. I mean, it's really a catch-22 on the whole situation. It's expanded the horror genre especially immensely because that, for a lot of reasons, people's favorite, both for practical reasons of filmmaking and just because of what fans like and like to make, and the horror fans really like to get involved. So it's really opened it to everybody. But it's put a lot more just crap out there to have to sort through to find the diamond in the rough. There's a lot more fucking rough. So much rough. It's a pile of shit with a gemstone buried at the bottom.
Yeah, like Alex said earlier, there are so many films that do it better. It was brought up like Hell House LLC is one that does it, that I think does it way better. A number of even found footage films that I think are stronger in this respect. Obviously, like Paranormal Activity, and this is where what's intriguing is that this was what I think what's even worse is that Steven Schneider, who is one of the producers on this film, and if people don't know who Steven Schneider is, was predominantly he's worked with Bobby Rowe in the past. He was one of the producers behind The Houses October Built, and he also produced Paranormal Activity. He was a producer on Insidious, The Devil Inside, Split, Glass. He's worked with M. Night Shyamalan a whole bunch. And there's the pedigree is there, you know, that should have been there to try and drive this one into a new territory. Oh, Weekend Horror said, Raven Darkstar said Alex or Aaron. It's Alex. Alex said it, and then whatever. Stop it. You're gonna fuck me up again. I'm gonna wind up just switching them up. So, but yeah, I just think that I wish I could salvage this one. I really wish I could have. Wish there was something that could be added to this. There was no excuse for Bobby Rowe.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
10 years later from Paranormal Activity, like you've seen it, you know what doesn't work. It's been done a whole bunch of times, and then this is what you do. It's like really,
yeah. Like there's no excuse for the talent of Bobby Rowe and Steven Schneider to drop the ball like this. I don't know why they did. There's no excuse with 3 years in between, and you're just doing found footage. Yeah, shooting a movie is, can be a logistical nightmare, but there should have been more on this. And I have no idea what happened here or what got in the way. It just, I wish I could forgive this one, but I can't. And it's definitely avoidable. Just watch the first one. You don't need to watch this follow-up. It's just pointless because there's nothing at it. In fact, it actually makes the first one worse because all of the elements, especially the camaraderie, like the chemistry between the actors, because they're all friends, that's one of the driving features behind the first film. And then in the second film, you're already kicking it off. There's already a breakdown in that friendship. And one of the people, the girl that's being brought in, Brandy, is completely at odds with everything the guys want to do. So it automatically sets it up like she's the odd one out, which is what culminates in her, like basically them using her viral fame in order to, in order to generate their own fame. And of course the Blue Skeleton group, which is doing their stuff. So it's in it, the moment they walk up, they talk to the one redneck guy and he's like, go check out Hellbent. And then they go to the next town and they see a sign, go see or seek Hellbent. It's a setup. It's a setup from the jump, and that they're all playing off this one. Yeah. Yes, Casey Cooper. If I can't polish this one, it is unpolishable. This one is unpolishable. There's just no
job to warn you. There's a harbinger.
Yes, a harbinger. Yes.
Yeah. No, there's. It's hard because it's like you got to talk about it, but you don't want to. It's just terrible.
Fails on a lot of levels. Yeah.
You can't. You can't even engage with it. There's not a lot on here that's like, absolutely don't waste your time. But on this one, don't waste your time.
Angel, before we jump to the CTA, Angel Rivera asks, how good is Hell House LLC? Hell House LLC was done extremely well, and I loved it for two reasons. One, because it's exploring the haunted house aspect, but two, the cinematography in it is really, really well done. There's a claustrophobic aspect to being in the house, not perceiving it from a person who's walking through it like someone who's like a paying spectator, like someone who's going in to enjoy it, but from the people who run the place. Like, the little, special seat, like the hidden doors and, hidden entrances and exits. The way that a haunted house is built, the exploration of that lent to a level of claustrophobia, which I thought was played really, really well in that. Not to mention, there's a lot of very genuinely creepy moments in it, done with especially the clown figures. But because you're running a haunted house and you have all of this scary shit all around you, and the first one lent itself how much are you conjuring in your own imagination to how much is actually supernatural and happening. Not to mention, there are tiny little I wouldn't say Easter eggs, but there are little things going on in the background of almost every single major scene. Something will occur, and if you blink, you will miss it. But then you could go back and you could watch it, and you could see the shit was going on when nobody was aware of it, which I really, really loved. So there was excellent elements, and they built upon that in the second one and the third one in Abaddon and Lake of Fire. So hopefully when we get the fourth one, we'll get even more. So, but Hell House LLC is definitely how you do it. House is October built? 2, not how you do that at all.
No, and Hell House has also good sequels. You keep that story going. Yeah. Trash.
You know, I
Totally
actually
garbage.
wanted. That's I'm actually thinking that since we went in this direction, that CTA is dumb.
I know.
You shouldn't ask that question. So like what's the best like haunted house like found footage film?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
there are different ones out there. So
There was one I watched recently. Go ahead.
no, I mean it's your deal, isn't it?
No, yeah. What?
Well, okay. So
yeah,
what was so
no, yeah. We're trying to come up with a CTA because the whole
I would
thing
say
was
a
who
better
put up the original or the sequel. Which one was better? And it's like
a better call because original is obviously better than the sequel. But I think a better call to action would be there are many different kinds of haunted house found footage films out there, and I would say let us know down in the comments below what you think has been the best one so far, like the found footage haunted house film. Let us know which one you think is the best one because Haunt wasn't really found footage. But there have been a few. So let us know down in the comments below. What do you think the best haunted house found footage film is? Let us know down there. Or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com.
That
Tony
reality
Regime,
one where they spit in your face.
Tony Regime says, "How fast is Alex's garage moving to get that motion blur?"
Very.
It's
Very
been
fast.
catch up with them for an hour and a half.
Ooh, Tony Regime brings up Deadstream. Deadstream was fucking amazing. Deadstream that movie was funny as shit.
Forgot about that.
Deadstream was great. That one had because and being a YouTuber, I was like, oh, I so feel this guy's pain. I so feel it. Oh, let me see. Jay version. That's the one. Yeah, Deadstream. Deadstream was really fucking good. Absolutely. Jay, yeah, the social influencer one because it mocked all found footage films. It did. Yeah, that one. If you haven't seen we showed it in the Discord one time. Deadstream was really funny. It was really, really good. Hellos LSE was fantastic. Absolutely. I cannot wait for the Origins movie. All right. So we're moving on to our next one, to our last one. Aaron, do you want to take it?
Did you just call Aaron Eugene?
No, because I didn't watch anything. I've seen like 3 movies in the last month that my wife made me watch. I fall asleep during everything else. Parenthood is murdering me.
That's cool. I can kick us off. Not a problem. And we got our last film of tonight, released September 23rd, 1992. I was 12.
I was 2.
You were 2 years old?
2 years old.
So, and we have the slasher film Mikey. Let's check out this trailer.
You're going to have to be very patient with him in the beginning.
Get him placed with adoptive parents as quickly as you can.
They took him away from his real parents. He was abused or something. I don't know.
Smartest character in the movie.
Who are you?
I'm Mikey Trenton.
Trentons don't have a kid.
Now they do. You don't love me anymore.
That's not a toy.
I know that.
Mikey, no!
I'm calling to inquire about a former student of yours. His name is Mikey Trenton, and he's in the 4th grade.
Pilgrim was bad, so the turkey's fixing him.
Officially, this case is closed.
Mikey, put that down. It's not a toy.
That's what you say.
Hasn't he ever been checked out? Psychologically?
Life is full of accidents.
What are you talking about?
The radio. It's not safe.
Why not? Get in around this kid.
Don't you know anything about his history?
He's a wonderful kid. He's perfect.
Yeah, he's too perfect.
Stop it!
I've been doing some research into Mikey Trenton's background.
If I had a girlfriend, I'd do anything for her.
I think that there's something very wrong with Mikey. There's something very strange about him. I think that Mikey's in love with me.
He's only 9 years old.
Why don't you like me anymore?
No. Mikey, no!
Dead people aren't the ones to be scared of. Living people are.
I need all the information you can give me on Mikey Trenton. What do you want, Mikey? It's psychotic behavior.
Mikey just needs a good, stable home.
Remember, Jason and Freddy were kids once, too. Mikey.
So, yes, that was the trailer for Mikey. So, 1992. slasher film, directed by Dennis Dempster and written by Jonathan Glasner, and starring Brian Bonsall, Josie Bissett, Ashley Lawrence from the Hellraiser films, John Deal, Whitby Hertford, and Lyman Ward. So the film follows the titular Mikey as it literally opens up with him slaughtering his foster family, and then gets blames it on an intruder, and then gets picked up by social services and then adopted out to another family, where then shit again gets absolutely fucking real, because this movie pulls no fucking punches. This kid is a fucking nightmare. It is the Terminator of like killer kids, and will slaughter anyone.
It doesn't stop. The killing doesn't stop. That's the thing. You think like the first few, and you're like, oh my god, that was crazy, and then it just keeps going and going and going.
There's no slow burn in this one at all, like none whatsoever. It's just like the kid's just like, I'm looking for a reason to kill all of you. Oh, you gave me one? Fantastic. Let the murders begin.
Am I the only one that noticed the time correlation with The Good Son here? This came out a year before The Good Son, and I looked it up. 1991, sets were being built for The Good Son. They've been talking about it since like the completion of The Child in Time since 1987. Somebody caught a whiff of The Good Son and decided to make The Good Son on crack. That is how this movie got out.
I would say, what I find intriguing about this particular one, obviously, Brian Bonsall just sells this fucking movie. The cherubic little child. And I think he actually, if you want to do comparisons like The Good Son, I think he actually sells it better than Macaulay Culkin did. Because with Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son, there was it's an actor choice. There was a darkness that pervaded that character from the very go, from the jump. The minute he comes on screen, there's something a little off here. Whereas with Mikey, he flips between like cherubic, perfect little child into this, no holds barred psychopath, where it's just like whatever means necessary. Get my hands as dirty as possible. And I found that to be the real intrigue. Was Brian Bonsall really sold it well, and sold it well enough that the absurdity, like there's some really absurd moments in the movie that I think his performance allows us to like overlook those things, because things like the whole the setup at the very, very end, leading up to the very end with the child skeleton and all the dead fucking bodies and shit. We know for like come on, we're thinking about this even in the 90s. Forensically speaking, there's no fucking way this kid would get away with this, because there's just so many like come on, dude. It was a posed skeleton. It's got fucking rivets, holding its bones together. There's no way someone's gonna it was the skeleton of a child. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Come on, you stupid people. I just capitalized on the stupidity of adults and our willingness to just like treat children are just innocent angels, but they're not. You guys are dads. They're not.
No, man. And they don't, that's the thing, is they don't hold back when they're young. They don't know, like, it's not okay to be like, I hate you, or what, lash out. And so they can be scary sometimes. It's like, oh shit, tell me how you really feel, kid.
I love that. Casey Cooper says, let's let Mikey try it, Aaron Reese. He'll kill anything. Yes, he will kill anything. It was intriguing. I found one thing
Mikey,
I got about this.
I think he likes it.
Despite its savagery, because it's a savage little film, the kid just from the drowning of the sister to the way he beats his father to death with a baseball bat. He has a fondness for electrocuting people by throwing electric equipment into the bathtubs or hot tubs. Bows and arrows, slingshot.
Okay, can we talk about that bow and arrow though? Hold on, here. I've got a prop for this one. I have the same here.
Oh shit!
I'll pull this off. But it was like I saw that and I was like, oh my god, it's a children's bow and arrow. It's the same one as in the movie. I mean, like you could shoot this thing in your chest.
That's a compound bow.
I guess it would definitely take you out, and I never thought about it because we have like the little training arrows that they hit you in the face and you're all right. But
oh yeah, indoors you're dead. My wife's got one like that. She's got a problem with the nerves in her hand, so she has to have a lower weight one. Oh yeah, that's God. Well, the big thing with The Good Son is I think on that one they were trying to immerse you in the main character's role, where you're seeing that there's something off about this kid, and it's very slow burn. And this one, the kid just kind of walks in and is like, kill everything, try not to get caught.
Right. So what I attribute this to is that, you know, there's no explanation as to why Mikey, like narratively speaking, there's no explanation as to why he is the criminal fucking mastermind of the year, like makes the Joker look like a goddamn henchman. So like the kid, just like everything falls in the right place. It's beyond perfect. But what I took away from the film, and despite its proximity to the good son, which I thought was going more into this notion of like the nature versus nurture, explored that nature versus nurture. Whereas in Mikey, there's a small throwaway to the possibility that Mikey was abused. But this level of psychopathy exhibited in this child, this is now, he's a born predator. That's what he is. And if he doesn't get his way, it's just like, you know, whatever. And what I took away from this is, unlike The Good Son, which was an exploration of like mother-child dynamics and nature versus nurture, Mikey was reflective of what I felt to be the growing cynicism in the 90s, post the 80s. So given the effect of the 80s, when going into the 80s, there was a kind of optimism coming out of the 70s. But unfortunately, in the era of yuppie America, and the understanding of the fractures that were already existent in American society, there was a growing cynicism as we were going into the 90s, and we have the next generation kind of taking over from the previous one. And I would say like the early smatterings of Gen X in that respect, where that anger is already there and that cynical nature of that, where I think that Mikey reflected that more than other Killer Kids did, because the other Killer Kid films, they focus predominantly on like, why is the child this way? Where there's no narrative explanation as to why Mikey is the way he is, whether he's a product of his environment or a product of nature in and of itself, but that dealing with problems the way Mikey deals with them almost becomes voyeuristically, like the voyeurism that the audience has in dealing with this shit and then getting away with it. That cynical nature, that's the only way to deal with shit, that is the only way we can solve these problems that we have, because we, at the time in the 90s, were children. We were kids. I was 12. You know, Alex was 2. Okay? The vast majority of the time when we take this in, that generation that this came into was young. We were at the mercy of the generation before us. But we were already beginning to feel that angst and that anger that we now are well aware of, now that we're in our 40s and shit. So in our late 30s and our 40s. So now I think that that's what Mikey was essentially trying to reflect, is what the director and the writers were conveying, was that this is what we're faced, this is what this generation is faced with, and that you have to go in that direction in order to deal with the shit, because it's the only option left to us. And while it's conveyed in the extreme notion of this like psychopathic child, but it's also the difference between how the previous generation acts, and how this generation acts. Because you look at how all the adults treat Mikey. Despite the fact that he's 9, despite the fact that he's highly intelligent, despite the fact that he is very intuitive, everyone fucking infantilizes him at every stretch. He's either a baby or he is a victim of circumstance. Everyone around him, whether they know it or not, is constantly depowering Mikey at every moment. And Mikey's only options are to retake that power through savage violence, which I think is more of a commentary than a lot of people anticipated when this movie came out. Because like this one, it was almost like a video nasty. Like, what the fuck? Like, this savage murders of a kid. Oh, I can't see past the children killing their parents and shit. Oh, it's so awful. You know, fucking Menendez and shit. But no, there was a deeper aspect to this film that I think a lot of people missed because of its savage and cynical nature. Now, it could just be me. I could be looking too hard, but that's what I saw reflected in this particular one.
There's also kind of a cultural arc that plays out. It plays out faster now. Everything does, to the point where it overlaps. But used to, you would see events occurring. They were covered factually, followed like in real time, news, documentary, things like that. After that, you would have kind of a fictionalized version of the same thing. So like with serial killers, you started with the actual serial killers. Then later on, you got movies like Henry, which is inspired by Henry Lee Lucas. And then this one, this is kind of third phase, because you had in the 70s going into the 80s, and there's debate on whether this was actually a hot period for serial killers, or when we just got so good at identifying them that we started busting more of them, but they were all over the media. So going through the 80s into the 90s is when you're seeing the factual stuff laid out. And then through the 90s, going in the early 2000s, is when you see more fabulous, fictionalized versions of this. And I think that's when this got caught up in, or the wave this got caught up in, was that third wave, because like Silence of the Lambs, 91, Good Son, 92. This one's 91. It's a little bit more raw than Silence of the Lambs, obviously, but it's part of that same wave. And as it builds up, you see maybe not necessarily better specific examples, because Silence of the Lambs is really damn good, obviously, but you see more really good examples just across spectrum. And then as you get into late 90s, 2000s, they just start turning crappy. Everybody's cashing in. You've got movies that are just about the same as other movies, because you've got I can't remember the name of it, mine's gone blank, but you got Bone Collector, which is about a disabled investigator with a surrogate apprentice. And then you had a movie with Sigourney Weaver, just about the same thing, because she had agoraphobia and stuff. So it was really just picking itself to pieces. But I think that's part of what led into this, is that third wave of interest in serial killers, and society was really ready to start somewhat internalizing and experimenting it more, which is what horror is really good at, is just taking it to hyperbole like this, taking out as far as you can, because you're not just exploring it intellectually, you're really exploring it emotionally and seeing what it triggers and how it makes you feel, which is what's great about this genre. So I think that's a big part of where this came from.
And I could say, and going on, piggybacking off of that, I think you could kick that further down the road. Like 8 years later, we would get the adaptation of Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, which explored that notion from the perspective of the 80s, and the idea, the identityless yuppie, yuppie America, where there's no individuality. It's all about what you can produce and all about what you show to other people, because it's all about the facade and how everything is fucking fake. And that kind of plays into I see that trend especially in horror, that one of the big themes going from the 80s into the 90s, even into the 2000s, was about identity, was about either reclaiming one's identity or establishing one's identity in the face of obstacles. So even in Scream, you have those same ideas. You have Sydney, who is trying to establish her identity apart from the legacy of her mother. You have Billy trying to establish his identity in the face of his abandonment issues. So you've got even in that aspect, you've got I think really done well in, I was trying to remember her last name, Mary
Tyler Moore.
Until you said it.
I can't recall her last name, but in her adaptation of American Psycho, I think that really kind of I think that was kind of like the pinnacle of that. The idea of who we are as opposed to who people think we are, and the power that other people, have over us when they don't even realize that they are doing, or how they stymie us or hold us back, or they like how other people view us. And that's what I dug about this one. Looking back at Mikey, was kind of like that. I got a deeper feeling about this one that was conveyed in how Mikey was portrayed, how the director had Brian Bonsall bring that character across, and what was intended by the script. And I have a feeling it's possible that the writer was intending just a straightforward psycho kid movie, but I think it came from a place where, you like Huey. I like Huey Lewis in the News. I absolutely do. But I think the film came from a place where we're beginning to recognize that, where it's the idea that these kids are not getting what they need. These, almost these latchkey kids, the idea of they don't know who they are because they have been let down by the prior generation. And that Mikey is the extreme version of that, of retaking their power and their identity from the prior generation that simply won't let them have one, because they cannot acknowledge that Mary Herron, thank you very much, is Mary Herron, who cannot allow them to be themselves. And so I found it to be a lot deeper the second time that, obviously having watched it again, I was like, holy shit, I can kind of identify a little bit with the emotional roller coaster that Mikey is on, especially the rejection by someone that he is attracted to, someone that he's interested in, and the willingness for the director to go in that direction as to how having a child convey these aspects of more adult humanity that would make you naturally uncomfortable, but kind of reflects reality in a way. I found it intriguing. It really, really hit a little bit closer than I first expected when I first watched the film. Once you can get past the savage nature of what's going on.
Dude, yeah, because he just fucks everybody up. But yeah, you look at a good, one point of that. There's another, you want to dig deeper. There's these parents are looking over this kid. They're like, it's nobody thinks to look at the kid. That tells you a lot too. So you could go in deep directions in a lot of it.
I love that he got. I love that he got a Michael. He even got a Michael Myers moment when the mom throws it down. He's like, bam, and then just sits back up. I was like, fuck yes, this kid's on point.
Nah, he's gonna kill everybody. He really does. The bone and slingshot too. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh.
Well, late 80s, early 90s, because in the chat they're talking about the love 90s. There were great things about the 90s. The bubble hadn't burst yet.
Yeah.
But there was a huge sitcom era too. You had a lot of big time child stars and everything. You have Full House, Family Matters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the reality is that a lot of those are so popular because people's real families kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got latchkey kids, you got disconnects because parents are constantly working, being overworked. The 2-parent working household is at the start of being pushed to its maximum and everything. So it was really a two-sided coin. So it was gonna get demonstrated in a movie like this because you got like Problem Child, which is this movie if it were slapstick, but it was gonna manifest. I mean, even because you're talking about, that kind of fourth wave self commentary with American Psycho, where it's not quite spoofing the serial killer genre, but it's got a commentary upon it. But a lot of that was about Reaganomics, which is what caused the slow grind through the 90s, where it was a great time, but it was the last of great times because 2001 9/11 occurred and it just blew it up for a lot of us because that was the second day of my first full-time job after high school. I took a summer off. I went to installing cable, and we were in the van when it came on the radio, and I got to watch it play out in a school, which I had just graduated out of because that's where we were installing cable. But yeah, there was just there was a very neat veneer without the shininess and the neon of the 80s, but this slow boiling, or slow simmering angst or ennui underneath that started manifesting with goth kids that then got in the 90s and they tried to continue it. And we were like, sorry, we done fucked shit up. You got to be emo.
I think the idea that of the trope, it became a trope of recognizing the cracks in the foundation that we were once distracted from. And we were distracted from so easily with the advent of technology and how things were coming up, obviously with, if you look through the 60s and the 70s, the advent of television, the advent of radio, when things were really starting to, power up and, color TVs in every home, and the idea in the 80s, like I like what you use, the neon effect. Like everything is just like look at advertisements in the 80s, splashy colors, shapes, in order to convey it all as I think what we view today as a distraction from those things that we always knew were there, but we never wanted to admit were there. And then the 90s got to a point where we literally we had to look at it. It's like, left to our own devices, there was nothing else to look at because we found the veneer shallow. And so where did we turn? We turned to what the reality of the situation was and developed that cynicism from that. And that's why, I'll always have a strong love for late 80s, 90s horror, which explored this thing, especially like Scream 1996, which, walked along those exact same lines. I like that third wave and then the fourth wave kind of self-identifying with American Psycho in 2000. So, but for those willing to give it that look, to get over the idea that there are some uncomfortable moments in Mikey. I'd say more uncomfortable than what other killer kid films have posited, like The Good Son, which went a little bit softer on the topic. I think that this one reflected reality a lot more than people expected, and it was very. If this had come out in the 80s, it definitely would have been a video nasty. It would have definitely been shut down by the censors because And there was a time when we weren't ready to have those convos and to look at reality in that horrific light. So I will put Mikey up there as a winner, and definitely worth a repeat viewing, especially given what was going on at the time. What we now are aware of what was going on during the 90s. I think the writer was very subversive in that, saying like this is the extremity. Take what we have going on and take it to its brutal extreme, and this is what we've got. A good, strong reflection of reality that wasn't willing to mince words.
Yeah. If it's going to be commented on horrors, one of the genres is going to do it first. And it's not necessarily going to go directly at it. A lot of times we've seen it in the not so tactful ways. And sometimes that's productive because you take LGBTQI plus rights right now. There are movies being made that if they weren't being made by members of that community, they would be outright offensive, but it's self-commentary. It's okay, I'm going to play this out for you in a somewhat extreme or farcical manner to help put you in my shoes. But then you've got movies that handle it less tactfully, and you could go down the list. I mean, the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is a good one for that one. It's a debate to whether it's good commentary, bad commentary, because it's both. It is not necessarily subtle, but it's not outright, and there is some stuff in it that tends to get made fun of in both good and bad ways. I think it's the easiest way to put it. But horror is fantastic for that, because with the outliers with genre or like drama, you're going to go for drama, which is like the vaguest name I've ever heard for a genre. But the ones that really push into that, they tend to be even more niche with fewer viewers in the beginning than horror, because people who dig horror and will give it a try. They're not the people who are, oh, I can't be included in that. Oh, I can't watch that because that's controversial. I mean, they shoot right for the core of it. So I think that's one of the things that I really love about the genre, is that it marches right out there and it says, here's this fucking issue. We'll talk about it. We'll laugh about it. Cringe about it, but we need to have it out.
Right. So that's kind of leads to it, given the nature of Mikey and the idea that the killer kids has always been a long staple of the horror genre. The innocents hiding the evil, going all the way back to fucking the bad seed. You know, I was curious. I wanted to ask the audience, what do y'all think in the history of horror has been the scariest killer kid? So think of all the killer kid movies that have come out there, regardless of the, like the subgenres they may be a part of. But what do you think has been the scariest killer kid? Let us know in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com, or here in the live chat. Love to hear what you guys think about that. Like, what is the scariest killer kid? What do you think, Aaron? Scariest killer kid?
I'm trying to think. There's one of those that jammed at the edge of my damn mind, and I cannot get it out.
Let's see. Travis Brown says Damien from the Omen series.
Yeah, that's definitely a contender.
I would see. It's interesting to me because all of the shit that's going on in like the Omen series, until you get to Omen 3, you know, where Damien's doing well, there's some moments in Omen 2, but the first Omen, it was everybody around Damien. It was the cultists that were scary, you know, because Damien was a child, didn't understand what he was. So Damien, is like kind of a victim of circumstance in that respect. It wasn't until like the second one and the third one when he goes off and becomes evil. Ronan saying Pet Cemetery. Gage,
yeah, that's what I was right there. I saw it about the same time when I was looking, because I'm like, there's one right at the edge of my mind that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And
Casey Cooper says the Omen. Yep, and Michelle with one L says Gage from Pet Cemetery. Yep. What do you think, Alex?
I don't think it's like the scariest, but it's not even kid. The Orphan.
Oh, Orphan?
She wasn't actually a kid, but yeah, Orphan is good.
I feel so shitty when I watch that movie though, because it's based on a true story that did turn out that she actually is a kid, and they've been treating her like shit for years. I'm like, oh god, I can't do this.
Oh no.
Sarcasm says gotta go with Culkin, with Macaulay Culkin and The Good Son. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, Roto Saint brings up The Brood, the little monster children in The Brood. Fuck yes. Let me see here. Damien. Oh, Children of the Corn.
Yeah, he just seemed like a spoiled little shithead, though.
God.
What about Village of the Damned?
That was good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tony Regime just dropped it. Village of the Damned.
Yeah, it's a killer kid movie, but like, it's a multitude of kids. I think it's scarier when it's like one kid. When it's a multitude of kids, it's easier to just be like, okay, it's an evil force, kill all of them. When it's one kid, you're like, maybe I could save him, but yeah.
Oh, so that's it's like okay, so with the like Village of the Damned or Children of the Corn, it gets into that territory of like, would I rather fight would I rather fight like 3 16-year-olds or 16 3-year-olds? Casey Cooper brings up Firestarter, fucking A, and Rodin Olsen brings up It's Alive. Oh, that mutant baby, you know.
I gave each one of those little sons of bitches 3 strikes, and then I blew their fucking head off.
So definitely, yes. So definitely let us know down in the comments below what you think was the scariest killer kid in horror. Scariest killer kid. Let us know. We want to know. All right. You guys know what time it is. Raven Darkstar, you know what time it is. It's trivia time. Oh, that never gets old. Never gets old.
That was amazing.
Would you like to read our trivia question for tonight?
Wilhelm scream version of that. All right. Let me switch to make sure.
While he's pulling it up, remember for the trivia question, if you are the first person in the live chat to get this correct answer, you will win a special prize from the Week in Horror store. We can guarantee it will be something from the season 5 line. We've got the live chat up right now, waiting for that first answer. So whenever you're ready, Aaron, give them their trivia question for tonight.
All right, it's a season finale, so JL has written a thesis of a trivia question here. Prepare yourselves. What horror film with its themes of sexual and bodily autonomy and overreaching patriarchal culture is cited as the first feminist horror film? For those of you that couldn't keep up with that entire thing, which horror film is cited as the first feminist horror film?
Well, the other stuff is meant to be a hint as to what it is.
You buried the fucking lead, JL.
Yeah, it kind of explains a lot.
I try to be cool about it, you know. But first person to get the correct answer in the live chat wins an item from the season 5 edition of Week in Horror. So let me see. So Tony Regime says Videodrome. Nope, not Videodrome. Although that was a James Woods masterpiece. If there could ever be one. Jay versus Carrie. Nope, wasn't Carrie. Extra J says The Addiction. Nope, wasn't The Addiction. Robert Biter. Robert Biter got it. Yes. Robert Biter nailed it with Rosemary's Baby, with its themes of sexual and bodily autonomy and its depiction of the overreaching patriarchal culture. Rosemary's Baby is cited as the first legitimately feminist horror film. Instead of utilizing aspects of women as pure tropes, this one was an actual aspect of the film itself. So yes, the Rosemary's Baby is considered the very, very first. Now, other ones that were brought up, yes, Stepford Wives is included in there in that kind of like top 5, but automatically because of the relationship between Rosemary and her husband and the cult trying to cultivate this demon child, definitely the taking away of her autonomy, it's regarded as the first feminist horror film. So congratulations, Robert Biter. Well done. We're going to get that printed and shipped out to you ASAP. Got some other one. Ooh, Cat People. Good one. Absolutely. Some good selections in there. My Life. Oh, My Life. That's funny, Raven Darkstar. That's awesome. Yes, first feminist horror film. That was good. I almost missed that joke. I almost missed it. Raven Darkstar. Oh, I caught it. I caught it, Raven. I caught it. Extra J said, I sort of heard the question just throughout the first movie I could think of that somewhat fit. There's a bunch that kind of fit in there, but Rosemary's Baby is considered the very first one. So well done, Robert Biter. We're going to get that printed. As a matter of fact, I got to write your name down. Make sure that I don't forget.
On board and everybody's like, I don't know what's going on. It's entertaining, but what the hell happened?
All right. So well done, Robert Biter. Congratulations.
Way to go.
All right, boys. Well, that's going to be it. That Horror Fiend is going to close out the 4th season. 4 seasons of the Week in Horror podcast. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. From all of us here at Week in Horror, you guys.
Seriously,
it's been a hell ride.
We wouldn't be here without you guys. You guys are awesome. It's like, hey, I need one day out of my fucking week every once in a while. Come on here and just let it all go. And this is the place that we can do it. And it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much.
Hell yes. And thank you all so much.
Now they'll get used to it.
And thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We truly hope you enjoyed the show and the past 4 years. Be sure to smash those like and subscribe buttons and hit that bell so you never miss a future episode. Join us next week for the Season 5 premiere when we look back at the compelling psychological horror of The Good Son. We're going there. The horror icon-studded teen slasher urban legend, the stylized and hard-hitting horror Bliss, and the intriguing 70s Western horror Enter the Devil. A huge, giant shout-out goes to the incredible Josh Olsen, who did all of the amazing artwork for our upcoming season. If you'd like to see more of his art, check out badsamurai.store. For more from Week in Horror, check out all the bloody links down in the description. Follow us on the socials for the Daily Splatter and join our Discord for watch parties, production announcements, and all kinds of horror shenanigans. And if you'd like to support the show, we have Army of the Dead memberships available right here on YouTube, and we even have our PayPal. Or you can support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. What are you waiting for? Join us. As always, thank each and every one of you for being the greatest audience a horror film podcast could possibly have. I am JL.
Thank you guys so much. I'm Alex.
Aaron, it's been a blast since they dragged me kicking and screaming into this podcast.
Fuck yes. We will see each and every one of you next week for an all-new season of Week in Horror. And as always, stay scared.
Bye-bye.